Okay, I think it's working.
Hello, hello, test 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I think. Okay, so now if I go over here, see, the one downside of not doing this on Twitch is that Twitch is a lot more um, straightforward with how it works. YouTube is a bit more complicated, but um,
Yeah, I've never streamed on YouTube before, so I
it
wouldn't
it
know.
works fine, and I like the fact that it adds the video to like a separate tab. Um, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And now I just need to figure out how to get the correct stream link set up too. It's a work in progress. We're almost there.
Don't worry, guys, this is normal.
I want to hear myself. All right, I got the link. Sending it to you. There you go. You want to see my face? Go to that link, click it, and watch it.
You look
Gorgeous, yes.
Gorgeous.
All right, let's see. And then I should post it in. I haven't used this one for a long time either. Now, I've only used if there's a way to retroactively edit stuff out of the stream.
You can do that with the VOD, maybe? Like
Yeah,
with the
maybe, but
video?
if I can't, then for those who watch the video after it's been posted, just skip the first few minutes because it's just gonna be me setting stuff up.
Just add a timestamp to the
Yeah,
description afterwards, I
that is
suppose.
actually a good idea. Also, if the sounds are not equal, like if, for example, if I'm louder or not loud enough, let me know too. Post this here.
Sure, I'll take a look. I think it's fine, actually.
Yeah. Awesome.
Sounds good to me.
All right. And I'm gonna send a link to my friend because he asked to tell me. He asked me to tell him when I'm going live with this. Okay. All right. I'm done. I'm done sharing the link.
You're finished. Finito.
I lied. I'm almost done. I forgot one thing. It's okay. It's okay. I can resolve this. Going to new post here and then boom. There.
You know, this is what a good startup, a good streamer would design, like a startup.
I have
Scaffold,
one.
you know,
I
like they have
actually
a
I
banner.
do have one. I just um here, see. I put it up right now. I do have one. What do you mean?
All
What do you
right, all
mean
right.
chat disabled? I just got a message from my friend. He said, "No, chat is disabled."
Maybe he's running like a plugin or something that disables it. I don't know.
Oh my god. Technical difficulties right at the start.
I can see your
Can
chat
you
message.
type something? Does that work? Yeah, it
Yeah, it
works.
works for me. Who is going to be the guy that writes test 3? Huh? And then test 4 and 5.
Weird. Okay. Yeah, I'm not gonna play tech support if it if it works. All right, we've been stalling for long enough. I said I wasn't going to do like a big intro thing, but I'll just briefly mention what we're doing here. So recently, the EA in combination with a and I need to get the name correctly. I think it's CC Hyper, right?
Yeah, maybe on the Reddit post it will be his full name as well. Actually, let me check.
Okay, yeah, I don't know if I want to dox people with their full names unless they unless they stated it somewhere. But yeah, so recently, I should maybe word it differently. Someone from the W3D community um, was in contact with EA, and they managed to finally get the source code of the game released, which is incredible because, yeah, as some of you may know, whether you watch this in after the video has been posted or not, C&C Renegade is one of my all-time favorite games. So seeing that they basically released the source code for a game that you really like is just like a wish come true, basically. Um, but it didn't just end there. They also released a video with a bunch of beta footage for the game. So a bunch of stuff that was previously shown at like things like E3 and maybe through also shown to some people on uh, for like magazines and stuff, IGN, you name it. So it's stuff that the people they wrote about it on their blogs and their web pages and also in magazines for games and stuff. But they weren't necessarily shared online. I mean, there's a few cam recordings of people filming these things at E3, which is also very interesting to look at, and we will definitely do that too. But we got something more extended now, and that's kind of what we're going to do right now. We're just going to take a look at the footage that they released and then analyze it a little bit. Look at like, okay, this is stuff that we've seen in the retail version of the game, and this is stuff that we used to have in the beta, but now we don't have it anymore, or they moved it, or this is different, or that is different. It's just going to be like an interesting look at the changes a little bit. And aside from just analyzing the footage, what we also want to do is we want to do some wishful thinking in regards to what we would like to see um, added to the game as it is right now that the source code is released, and it's a lot more easy for people to see how the game's internals actually work and not have to figure out some roundabout way with scripts to get things done. That doesn't mean that we don't like the scripts. We do, because they, like, the people that have been working on that stuff, it's incredible what they could do with the limited knowledge about the game that was previously available. But yeah, that's the gist of what we want to do with this stream, basically.
Yeah, yeah. And one more thing I would add, right? I would also say that it may sound obvious, but this game was released before the age of YouTube, where you could just store everything digitally. Probably was all on VCR, so to speak, right? If not, maybe, right? Some of it is marketing material that I remember at least, and this time it's just uploaded on a much higher quality than we've ever seen before, so you can actually also analyze it like in a way we haven't been able to before. Just some very juicy stuff that we can look at.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can kind of see that in some of the footage too. Like, some of it is really really high quality for what it was at the time. So it's basically almost near source in terms of quality. But there's also a gameplay demo that is in there, and you can see that it was recorded on some kind of VCR system, where the audio is like kind of panned on the left side, because it's more mono than stereo, and it's just incredible to see. And yeah, that's basically what we're gonna do now. So without being too cringe and it taking way too long, let's get into it.
Without further ado,
Basically, yeah. All right, I was already sharing the DLC thingy, so I'm gonna go ahead and
yeah. Yep.
see. Let's start with the first one, and the first one is basically they call it the Renegade Extended Sizzle, which is basically like it's kind of like a promotion video of what the game would be like for those who for those who were interested at the time and were like, oh, C&C Renegade, the game that they kept talking about, now we can finally watch what it looks like. So I'm gonna go ahead and play that. And yeah, if you want me to pause, by the way, just let me know so I can pause it real quick, and then we can, if you want to discuss something, I will do the same thing. So
yeah.
As you can see, 2001.
Millions of Command and Conquer fans around the world. We got a present for you.
So there's a bunch of cutscenes in this promotional thing that you would also see in the release version. But there's also a bunch of things in there that they, like promotional material that they made and showcased back in the day, but they didn't really publish it, and now we finally get to see it.
Yeah, I mean, remember that, you know, if you're going to make an advertisement, it needs to fit in probably a 30-second clip, you know? Not all of it is suitable for a quick TV commercial.
This is also very interesting to see. So this is like older footage, and for those who are in the know with the game, you can already see from like the weapon that the colors are not the same as the stock version that we have now. Like, it's more gray. This is the laser auto rifle, I believe, right?
Yeah, it's a laser rifle. Yeah.
And I think someone mentioned that Havoc, the main character in the game, was wearing snow camo in the retail version, and here he's not.
Oh, yeah, you're right. That's true. Yep. Good catch. Good shot.
Getting sloppy. Looking good though.
Yeah, plane gets shot down, and what's interesting is that this Sizzle here has no background music, right? Because when you go through the cutscenes, you know, you have the music, but here it doesn't.
So it's, yeah, it was probably added in post then, I want to assume.
Yeah, but it's interesting because you know, it makes you wonder how, if this is the full cut, so to speak.
Yeah, it might even be possible that there's multiple cutscenes that we haven't seen yet, secretly hiding somewhere.
Yeah, they've added stuff to it later, so to speak. So who knows what else there is.
Also, the cutscenes I feel like are a bit higher quality here too, compared to what they are in the game.
Just look at the jump over there. If you go back a few seconds.
Hold on.
Like 5 seconds, where you see Havoc jumping onto the truck, and just look at the motion.
Hold on.
Even here, you can see a tiny cut between his arms. You know, like, I'm not sure if it is. We were a bit too far ahead, but you could see him like move his arms in a certain way. Like, is it a cut in the video? Hey, there you see the jump, right?
Yeah, I think some of the things they did with even the models in the cutscenes, I think they use some kind of motion capturing.
Yeah, they had like a suit.
Yeah.
They wore like a suit with all the sensors on it. So yeah, I mean, we saw a lot of familiar stuff in this clip. What I find very interesting is, first of all, the high fidelity of it, but also, if you remember all the original cutscenes, you know, the in-game ones, the fluidity of the motions of the characters is just slightly different. It feels like here it is a bit rougher on the edges. And I find it very interesting because it shows that they have done multiple passes throughout the same stuff, throughout the same, cutscenes. You know, what we see here, even, you know, for the stuff that looks final, you know, clearly in that sense wasn't final. There you see the laser rifle. You know, so many things you can, tiny tidbits, if you are really familiar with the game, you can point out.
Yeah.
But it just shows that even then, it's still all a work in progress.
Yeah, what to continue that a little bit. For example, this particular area, you could correct me if I'm wrong. I think this kind of looks like the Obelisk of Oppression mission, but the sky is the wrong color. You know, it's not the same color as what it turned out to be in retail. This is like a more
It's a bit darker down here, isn't it? Yeah, if you go
like
like
slightly
maybe
back.
replay
Yeah,
that.
hold on.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, so you can again.
So can you go frame by frame in VLC?
I can slow it down a little bit. Hold on.
If you watch like the first like frame of that new scene, because there you have another, you know, angle to look at the skybox.
Give me a sec. Yeah, because the thing is, if I
Yeah, there.
yeah, so this is the church is basically on that side, on the right side. I don't know if my cursor is showing it on the correctly. Yeah, it is. Okay. Yeah, so there's basically a church there. That's where you and the other people from the Dead 6 team basically run away from, because it's like a designated target by Nod to nuke that church. And it's interesting to see how the sky here is like a different color, and you can see Patch. I believe that's Patch, and then Gunner. And you see like an older version of the laser rifle again.
We have like a different iron sight on this as well.
Oh, you mean this thing over here, right? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that. Yeah, that's not in the game.
No, that's new. The model itself. There's a few more small details that I, you know, can't really point one out, but I can tell it's different. Yeah, exactly what you have your mouse on, but also maybe where the laser, like the crystal, attaches to at the bottom end, at the bottom front. Yeah, that part almost looks a bit different as well, but I'm not 100% sure.
We'll have to get back to that later once, because what I also wanted to do is like launch the game real quick so we can take a look at what the game looks like now, and then maybe we can run over the footage next to it so we can kind of see like, oh, okay, this is what it looks like.
Yeah. If you want to be really strict if you want the best view of what this level used to look like, I would tell you to somehow find like the first frame, because there you could see way more of the skybox.
Okay.
And you didn't have the explosion effect
see
on the screen. You would have the most accurate colors.
See if we can scroll back a little bit. The bar's a bit small, so like if I jump only a little bit, it just, I'm a bit too lazy to figure out how to skip it properly with
Yeah, it's a bit difficult, isn't it?
It would be better if I open it maybe in like a video editor, because then you can actually skip or like frame by frame.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
You see, it had like a fraction of a second where you had the really accurate color of the...
Alright, this is the last time, okay? I'll pause it immediately this time. Okay. Yeah, now we can see a bit more.
Yeah, it's a bit darker.
Yeah, because originally the setting, I think, was more of a... Was it more of a morning setting or more of a dusk-esque setting? This looks a bit more
like
nightimey, you know?
Like a morning. Yeah,
and
exactly.
in the game, it takes place either. I find it a bit difficult to tell if it's like early morning or like later in the day. I want to assume it's like later in the day, because or maybe morning actually, because after the first mission, which is kind of the same level, you go to the chateau, and then at the chateau it's also nighttime, and then afterwards you go back to this area, and then it's more like it's more light out, so I want to assume it's more in the morning or maybe the afternoon.
I would say it's probably morning or noon, afternoon, because you kill Mendoza during nighttime. That was the original operation before the Dead Six got in trouble and you had to rescue them. And at that point, the church there is basically like their, you know, temporary HQ or whatever you want to say, right? So they return to it and then escape after Nod decides to nuke them because they want to get rid of the Dead Six, right?
Yeah. That makes more sense. I don't notice any...
Also so interesting to see the shells. The shells look different on tanks and stuff, you know? You have like the golden shell, like I don't know what it's called, you know, like you see the bullets that the tank fire that has a different model, and the explosions are huge, you know.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, now that I'm, I didn't even look at it that. Okay, hold on. Now I'm gonna have to look at it more.
Even look at the mammoth tank firing, right?
Yeah, I think the particle effects are a bit large. Yeah, okay, that's way larger than what it is in game. You're right. Okay, yeah, I can see it now. But also, this is the second mission, right? Rescue and Retribution.
Yeah.
But the dirt path looks a bit darker than what it ended up being in the game.
This Sizzle showed more missions where everywhere the rockets were had a huge explosion. So.
Mm-hmm. Also, a lot of also the like the destruction of the Hand of Nod there. More explosions too. Yeah, I see what you mean.
Could be purely cinematic, just for this marketing video.
Well, I mean,
could be for.
Sorry for interrupting, but the idea, from what I read at least, was that they wanted to include a lot of cinematic situations in the game. So I think you're right. I think they might have played up the cinematics with explosions and stuff a bit more. So if you blow up structures or you use your rocket launcher, then yeah, I think you're right. I think that might be one of the reasons why it looks so unnecessarily large.
Yeah, because if that got included into the the final game, that would have been quite something,
I'm gonna go ahead and skip over generals though, because we're strictly looking at the C&C Renegade stuff in this case, because we're not as up to speed with generals, so
yeah, we're not the right people to go look at and analyze generals footage. I'm sure there's way better people than us for that.
So there's one here, Renegade 2 tech demo, and that's one that I didn't really look too much at it, mainly because it's just Havoc running through some beta areas that will never see the light of day.
I'm also just kind of curious. I mean, how this tech demo just literally feels like the same game with a different map and assets. Like the pistol, the heads-up display, everything is the same. I'm surprised that tech demo doesn't really show new tech.
I think what they were trying to do with this particular one. Also, damn. Hello, cat, and I see that you got the chat working now, Jay. That's awesome. Yeah, what I want to say, I think what they were trying to do with this particular area is I think they just wanted to show off the amount of polygons maybe, or the amount of models that they could add in the world. I mean, there were already like a bunch of things that they did with the original game, but I think in Renegade 2 they wanted to expand on that a little bit, because you got to understand the engine that they used to make the original game. They were constantly expanding on that. They used the same engine to make generals, and there were also a few Lord of the Rings games that used the same engine, and then they ended up using it even later for the newer C&C games like C&C 3 and Red Alert 3, and there's probably a few that I even forgot to name. So I think that's kind of what they wanted to do with this, but I don't know who they showed this to, because I think around the time that they were working on this, that's pretty much when Westwood, when they closed down Westwood. So
yeah, those are all very interesting questions. What was the purpose of this tech demo, and what was the timing? That's one more interesting thing that we can discover through all this material is the timing that shows, at what period of time they, how far they were, because you can actually go back to other material, like other developer diaries and vlogs, or blogs or blog posts and stuff, and get an idea of how far they were into production, and where they had to scrap the game and redesign it from scratch, and where they had the epiphany of that the game should be about Command and Conquer mode, right? This footage helps visualize, the changes in development, in more than just, oh yeah, this is where we decided to do something different.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. The only thing I wish that we also had in this footage, especially since you mentioned like how they changed like how they were going to go about the game, is I wish that we had a little bit more of a look into what the early stages of the multiplayer would have looked like. Even let's say the modes that they originally wanted to introduce, like deathmatch, capture the flag, because they ended up just settling for, okay, we're just gonna do a Command and Conquer mode for the game, and then that's it, you know. And there's a few
Yeah.
interesting reasons why they did that, and yeah, we'll go over that a little bit more later.
Mm-hmm.
Let's look at this tech demo for a bit. Let's see if there's anything interesting, because I'm gonna be honest, I kind of skipped over this one because I saw that there was some more interesting stuff later. So you know, maybe there's stuff that I missed here, and this will be the first time I see it.
I was just surprised at how well fleshed out the levels were. The level was, how detailed it looked. You know, how much stuff they put in for a demo. But that's really it. For the rest, it looked normal to me. But
Mhm.
yeah,
I see Jay in the chat is asking where Earthbreaker's at. Are you familiar with Earthbreakers?
dude, I wish Earthbreakers was a thing, man.
Yeah, because I've been following that Steam page since like 2020 or whenever that trailer was announced.
Yeah, right.
I didn't do the did
And then
you
they put it.
participate in the beta for that?
Yeah, I have a highlight on my
Dude.
Twitch channel. It was low FPS, you know, because that was the best I could
Mhm.
do. But you can watch the game from there, basically.
I need to look into that more because I didn't even know that they were working on something. You know, like I just saw that trailer pop up, and I heard like a
Yeah.
bunch of news sites talk about like, oh, this is like a spiritual successor to C&C Renegade, and I'm like, what? And then we looked at it.
And it was really
Yeah.
good, you know, in my opinion. And I mean, it had some hiccups and all that stuff. I mean, some things to work on because it was clearly still a very early beta, if it even was a beta. But it had a lot of potential, and it seemed like they understood the concept of the spirit of the game, in that they wanted to keep it arcadey and not too serious. And you know, I really like that. But you know, who knows if we will ever get to see a finished product. I think the longer it goes on, the more unlikely it's going to be, because you know, who knows, maybe they're going to be working on a different engine, different code base, you know,
Hmm.
and 10 years later, who of the original team will still be there, you know, in the company, you know, by the time they decide to
You
restart it.
know, I'm gonna make a wild claim here, real quick. Okay, I'm gonna make a wild
Okay,
claim
okay.
about what I
I'm
think is
ready.
going on with Petroglyph and the reason why we haven't seen Earthbreakers yet. Okay, you ready for it? And I think it kind of ties into what we
Uh,
just saw, like this footage. I think that they're
okay.
currently working together with a few other studios and with approval of EA to get us C&C Tiberian Sun and Red Alert 2 remastered. That's what I think. I could be
You really
I
think
could be
so?
wrong,
Yeah.
but people have been asking for it ever since they released the first C&C remastered. Um and
It.
it's the
Yeah.
timing would be perfect cuz Command and Conquer is going to turn 30 years old this year. That's going to happen.
Mm.
Um we got a lot of source code for a bunch of Command and Conquer games, not just Renegade, but like a bunch of games. So, um, I just safely want to assume that this is like an appetizer before the main course to give some form of a analogy in this case, but that's what I think.
It's
I could be wrong. I could just be bullshitting, but we're here talking about stuff and wishful thinking and brainstorming about yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I am not so sure about it, because I mean, first of all, who the hell knows if they still have their source code or not, and that is essential in my opinion. However, I will be positive in saying that the remastered collection for Red Alert 1 and Tiberian Dawn did sell quite well, all things considered, considering their budget, even,
Mm-hmm.
you know. They made sure to keep the scope as small as possible. And I think it was a wise decision, even though there were plenty of things they could have done to make the game more polished and more well made. But their focus was get a faithful remaster out for the smallest possible budget, and on a skeleton crew and outsourcing everything, you know?
Yeah,
It's
Yeah, no, it's impressive what they did with it, and they basically just included even the smaller missions that were used on the console versions of the games, and so the scope was large. They didn't have to change too much of the game itself. They just needed to make sure that multiplayer worked properly, which did have some issues at the launch of the game because I played it, and Jay, who was also in chat, I played it with him. We had a bunch of fun playing that, but there were some connection issues at the start, but it worked perfectly fine afterwards, and they quickly fixed that. And I don't know how active the game is now, but I think the multiplayer aspect and also the single player and not touching the way the game works too much, but just doing some tiny quality of life improvements here and there. I think that was more than enough, and they definitely delivered with what they worked on. So I was satisfied, and a lot of other people were also very happy with it. I didn't really read too many negative things about the remaster. So that's why, in the back of my head, I'm thinking, oh, I do hope that they're gonna remaster the other two, especially Red Alert 2, because as much as I like Tiberian Sun, like Renegade, not Renegade, Red Alert 2 and Yuri's Revenge are, in my opinion, the best iteration of a C&C game that we have, basically. Because what they keep doing with C&C and then Red Alert is they try something in the Tiberium universe, and if that works, they improve upon it in the Red Alert universe. That's what I've seen, at least. You wanted to say something?
Yeah, one more thing I do want to say is I honestly do wonder what is there really to remaster with Red Alert 2, because I feel like the graphics are timeless. It's not something that necessarily needs improvement. And if it's not the graphics that you're improving, are you going to be changing the gameplay? If it's just to make a more polished and more experience, like what does there really need changing? That's one question I do have. Like what's the scope going to be of a remaster of a timeless game?
Um,
And maybe to put it a different way, what is a remaster going to do that a source code release couldn't do? But I guess with a source code release, there's no money to be
well,
made, and with a remaster, who
I
knows, right?
personally haven't looked at the release of, like, I haven't tried the Steam version or the EA version of the digital versions of Red Alert yet. But what I can say, knowing about the CD version or like the retail version, is that for multiplayer, for example, it heavily relied on the IPX protocol and Westwood Online in order to facilitate multiplayer. So there had to be some way to go around that, and that's kind of what you can do with C&C Net. So that works, but not everyone that downloads the game off of Steam will have C&C Net or know that C&C Net exists or know where to look for it.
Yeah.
So my guess is that one of the main reasons why we would want to see a remaster, not just because they can make the graphics a little bit pretty looking, because I agree with you. I think that Red Alert 2 already has graphics that are pretty timeless, and in terms of visibility, it, like, you don't want it to look too pretty because then you might get stuff lost in the details a little bit. But I think the primary reason why we would want to see a remaster of Red Alert 2 and Tiberian Sun as well, because they're kind of from the same-ish era of C&C, is to make it more accessible for multiplayer, to have that connection with Steam, which in private we also kind of talked about, like, having something like that for Renegade 2, but we'll get into that later. But having that connection with Steam makes it so that it will be more accessible for people to play multiplayer with. Like, you want to be able to set up a lobby so you can connect with your friends and play games online, just like how you would back in the day over dial-up or IPX in like a local setting. Yeah, I mean, we did talk about C&C Net. Sorry?
Steam Workshop support.
That too, yeah. Like make it more accessible for people to to make their own maps and distribute them that way, and even mods and all kinds of crazy things. I mean, you're right. The source code is already like a way to do that with the original game, but having more of a in the same box kind of solution makes it easier, I think, to get something like that off the ground. And there's a lot of people that know Red Alerts even more so than Tiberium, so that's why I'm hoping for something like that. And in regards to what Jay's saying in chat, C&C Net, that's kind of what we just talked about. Like, C&C Net already exists, but it's you need to look at this from like the perspective of someone who doesn't know anything. So if I'm a user that wants to play a game and I don't know anything about C&C Net or any additional third-party stuff to get my old game working so I can play it online with friends, or so that it can even run on like modern hardware, I think that is one of the main reasons why you would want to see some form of a remaster of this, just so that you are able to play those games again properly. If I want to push it even further, and I know I'm rambling on about this because I really care about the series and I want to have my opinion out there, if we could get this stuff on GOG, that would be even better. But that's never going to happen because EA wants money and they don't want you to have any RDM-free software, or like RDM-free DRM. Oh, sorry, yeah. Why did I say RDM? Like, it's just my Gmod brain, okay? RDM. DRM, you're right. DRM. So DRM-free versions of those games, I don't think EA would like that. They don't want to do that. And I was already surprised to see that they managed to get Blizzard as far as then to release stuff like Diablo and the earlier Warcraft games DRM-free. On GOG, but like I don't think we're going to see that for C&C, but I do think that GOG would be a perfect platform for something like that. Also because you can install those digital versions by getting the installer from GOG itself, because you can download the installer for the game from GOG, and then you can basically move it over with your USB stick to like an older device, like a Windows XP machine or something like that, if you want to do that, and then install it there. As long as they didn't tamper too much with the code, that is. But that's I like those things, and there's a bunch of people that are a bit more in the know that also like those things. So that's just something that I would want to see. But to be realistic, that's never going to happen because EA money. I'm saying that while they released the source code, which is very generous, but still, like. Also, Kat is saying, like with Heroes 3, if you don't know, there's no way you can get multiplayer to work online. Yeah, that's basically my point of view too. Like, if you don't know anything about the game, like even for me, and I work in IT, even for me, back in the day, having to look into like, oh, how can I play Command and Conquer Renegade online, and then I had to download Renlist and figure out, okay, how can I join a game through Renlist, and it's not super difficult, but like I would understand that there will be people that are less technologically advanced, or like have less tech skills, that they might not be able to figure that out or even know where to look for it, and this is a discussion that I've seen in the Discord as well. Anyway, what did you want to say?
Yeah. One more thing I can add to that is I have a friend that loves Blood Alert 2, but wouldn't play multiplayer over C&C Net because he doesn't really trust, third-party applications, because who knows how safe that might be, even though you can get the whole community to vouch.
Yeah,
for
that's another good point. Yeah.
Releases, he likes official releases, and he won't touch anything third-party just for safety reasons or security, and that's a big bonus you can have with having a source code release and have the community work on something and then have it actually endorsed by EA. So that's a big deal.
Yeah. No, that's another great point. Yeah, I didn't even think about that yet, but you're absolutely right. The idea that you have to download some third party thing to get something to work, and then you kind of have to trust that the third party developer is not some kind of super hacker that put some backdoor in the software to gain access to your PC or something like that, you know, because it's definitely possible, unless it's like released on GitHub and you can see how it works, then you don't really know.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I totally understand that, and there's a lot of trust you have to place in them in order to get something like that to work. So
EA is actually just playing 5D chess by making us work for free to update the game, you know, and make money of it.
but I do think that if the community wasn't so active and it didn't do as much with the games like they have done in the past, I don't think EA would have cared to do anything with Command and Conquer other than to release some, you know, mobile versions of the game that they can maybe sneak some tiny purchases and stuff into, like loot boxes and who knows what.
Yeah, absolutely.
Microtransactions.
By the way, you want to see what loot boxes are in the video here?
Loot boxes in the video.
Yeah, the Renegade 2 has loot boxes, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, let's see if it has loot boxes. Renegade is this quote unquote future version of the game that we never got to experience, but maybe in the future, you know.
Release date 2000.
Yeah, I was rambling a bit too much. You're right. We should continue this. So
we're just putting the rambling up front, you know.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the idea behind Renegade 2 was to have something like what Renegade 1 was going to be. What are we looking at? So what Renegade 1 was going to be, but it whereas Renegade, the original Renegade it takes place in Tiberian Dawn, in that universe basically. The second one would have taken place in the Red Alert universe, right? So
I believe so, but who knows? Just looking at this clip, it might as well be literally Tiberian.
Yeah, but if you
just look at how apocalyptic
it looks really apocalyptic, yeah. But I also read some stuff about something like I don't remember what it was exactly, but they mentioned something along the lines of Renegade 2 is going to take place in after Tiberium Dawn, but instead of GDI winning it like it canonically does, Nod wins and GDI falls apart, and that's basically what we're seeing, or something like that. And then somehow, because they wanted to tie those two games together, they wanted to tie Red Alert together with the Tiberium universe and somehow make that work. And personally, I would just keep them separate, but they, you know, doesn't matter. It's not important. That's what I read.
Westwood and Lore, you know, keeping everything canon. You know how they work. They do everything flawless.
There's a bunch of really good YouTube channels out there that go really deep into like C&C, Red Alert, and Tiberium lore, and they basically what they do is they take like specific units or like specific characters from the games, and then they dedicate the time to talk about those things for like 20 minutes or so. It's like, actually I enjoy listening to those things when I'm like doing something else, but there's a lot more lore to those games than what the casual onlooker might think, even though it's a little bit silly, and that's the point. But yeah,
absolutely.
But just to pause this real quick, but you to kind of tie into what I said earlier about like, okay, this is like a tech demo for Renegade 2. You're looking at a lot of stuff in like an area, and this is all rendered in, right? So I think what they wanted to show off with this before it became like a full thing that they actually started doing stuff with is like the amount of particles you see here and there, and all the lights and all the models and everything they throw in there. I think that they wanted to show, because I don't know which year this is from. I don't know if we can see that if we go back real quick.
You can go back, yeah.
After this one. That's an old logo. I didn't even see that.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so 2002. So this is like right after Renegade's release. So you also gotta keep in mind the hardware at the time, and now people can correct me if I'm wrong. I think the strongest Intel processor that was available for people at home, or at least the people that wanted to have like a decent PC, was a Pentium 4. And then you also had a few graphics cards, which I can't name them right now, but there was like a few graphics cards that could just about handle a few things. So to show off something like this with like a lot more things in it is, I think that's kind of the idea behind this tech demo, because it's mostly just like Renegade assets and then a few new things that they wanted to try, right? That's kind of what I think.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, who knows? I personally have no idea. But I will say Renegade does also use a visibility system, right?
Yeah, yeah, and I don't know how on what level they use that here, because like you can't really tell that from this.
Yeah, that's a nice thing. If it works, you don't notice it.
True. But I mean, usually you don't need to enable or disable it in Renegade either. But nowadays we have such powerful hardware that you don't really need it. So unless you have someone that makes like a really powerful large map with a bunch of stuff in it, maybe.
I'm gonna be honest, man. I wish it was still a thing on Path Beyond Red Alert.
Well, that was still in there.
You know the no, yeah, okay. A specific detail about W3D hub games is that in at least in the Path Beyond, it doesn't support visibility system. You know, scripts 5.0 or 5.
Oh,
Don't
okay.
ask me
So
why, but
so it was
doesn't.
in there and then they removed it, or
Yeah, they removed it, and like, don't ask me other details. You know, you'd have to ask them.
okay.
But I have very nice frame rate on a Path Beyond on the larger maps. Very nice.
Well, this one misses the turbo buttons. What do you mean? The turbo buttons in the game itself, or just reading what chat says? If you can answer that. But oh, you mean like that the character you're playing can walk around a bit faster, or sprint buttons or something like that, because the walking is a bit slow. Is that what you mean?
Maybe he just wants to speed up the village.
Oh yeah. That might also be the case, yeah, because I like to ramble a bit too much.
Yeah, what is this? What is this smoke? You know, is it Tiberium? Is it
or gas?
Yeah, it is greenish, but yeah, it's interesting. You know, you can speculate on what this is supposed to be, but
that's
I see no Tiberium on the floor.
That's
you know?
To scroll back a little bit. That's what you can kind of see, like the rubble and the jagged. Like there's more polygons involved.
Yeah,
in these
quite good looking.
In this level design basically, and I would even say it's kind of like what Source Engine Half-Life-esque things were when they were showing up their stuff at E3. I mean, this is okay. This is of course like a different game and like a different engine, but like the graphics, like the quality of like what graphics looked like in the early 2000s, like it rapidly progressed. Like every few months you would see stuff that looked better than what you saw before. So this is like a few months after Renegade were released, and I want to guess that might be one of the reasons why it looks a bit more advanced, like a bit more detailed than.
Yeah. Who knows?
You know, I'm just speculating though. You know, don't quote me on that. Yeah, you can correct me if you want. It's all okay.
No, I have no idea.
Oh, that's what you mean. Kat is talking about the turbo button on the on like older computers that run DOS and stuff. That if the game goes too fast because your processor is too new, you'd have to press like the turbo button to make it run slower so that the game runs properly instead of too fast. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about.
I've heard about it a little bit. I think
you have to do that for Jazz Jackrabbit too. The DOS version.
Man, that game was so good. Jazz Jackrabbit is such a classic.
The frame rate for this demo also looks pretty good. So I don't know what hardware they run it on back then, but it doesn't look like it has too much of a frame rate issue, as far as you can tell with the VHS quality footage, but
Yeah,
all right.
yeah.
So here we have something that I believe is a bit older. So this is 2 years before Renegade was released. If it lets me get to that real quick.
Pre-production.
And for those who really like generals, I'm very sorry that I'm skipping over generals.
Yeah, here is a pre-production
Yeah.
concept. From
So this is
2000.
kind of because that's what they kept doing too. If you read some of the IGN articles, which you also graciously shared with me, so I could look into it more. Thank you for that. If
No
you
problem.
read those articles, they talk a lot about what they wanted C&C Renegade to be. So they talk about stuff like, we've had this idea for a long time where we wanted you to basically be the commando unit from the first RTS game that we had. We want the player to feel like they are that unit and they walk around in the world as it was in the RTS game. So you'll see the familiar units and buildings and stuff. They talk about that constantly, and they really hammered on that, and they kind of delivered on that too. So that I like this video that we're gonna watch right now is basically a FMV of what it should kind of be like. So you'll be this commando that has to sneak into a base, etc. But that's kind of what this video will be like. So this is like an early version of the main character and what a mission would look like in that case.
Okay, Havoc, we're going hot in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Camera check, Havoc, your signal is breaking up. Thank you, Captain. Brigadier, are you receiving?
Right. Havoc, pan the area. I want to see what kind of security they've got.
And what's also interesting about this is that they, even though it's like only like a little cutscene thingy that they're doing here, they're already kind of introducing characters, even though you don't necessarily know their name yet, just through the little test dialogue that they have, like the woman's voice, the British guy, and
like a teaser.
And even our main character doesn't even speak here yet, so they didn't. I don't know. I don't know what the plans were with whether or not they wanted him to be using the same like lines that they used in the RTS game, where
I think the dialogue is going to be more important than the voices themselves, because the voices may actually still be placeholders.
Yeah, that's what I think too in this case. I think because the voice does sound a little bit like Loke in the final game, but it's not the same way. So I don't know if it's the same voice actor.
No, it's not this. It's probably a different voice actor.
Yeah. Also
notice.
Yeah. I was about to say, like, if you look at those tanks, they look a lot more like what the tanks originally looked like in or were supposed to look like in like the art for the original game. So not as distinctive with their colors and stuff. It's more grayish. Just like the Nod units were more grayish in color in C&C 95. Also, this is like a pretty high quality for.
It really looks good. Yeah. Also, I just love how action-packed it is. There are a million moments where he could have died if they only knew how to aim. But
It's really silly, but yeah. There's a bunch of things here too that we'll see them again later in some of the beta footage that we'll look at. But there's things like chairs and specific doors and stuff that they reused in later beta versions that you can actually walk around in too, which is really interesting to see. If you go back a little bit here, not this door, although it does look like it.
This is the door review screen now.
So, almost... Okay, so this chair over here, for example, this is a chair that they were... Like, this is really stupid that I'm talking about a freaking 3D model of a chair in a game. But this chair, they did use it in some of the building's internals in the retail version, or like at least in the beta version of the game. And then they removed them from the retail version. I don't know why they did it, but they were still in the file somewhere. Yeah.
Really?
When we go for some of the game reviewers footage that I have saved, you'll see what I'm talking about, because there's a particular mission, the plot erupts. You know which one I'm talking about, the one where you're on the island and you invade like a nod base, and there's like this big power plant connected to a volcano, blah blah. There in the Tiberium refinery, there's a few desks in the lower area, and there's a few chairs there that are basically this model, but with like a green, not green, but like a red print on it, if I remember correctly.
Maybe they just saw it as a placeholder all along.
It's either that, or what I guess, and this also comes from the early release reviews of the game, is I think it might also have just been an issue of NPCs getting stuck on the chairs, and that might be the reason why they've removed the chairs. That's what I'm guessing.
I would not be surprised.
Yeah, because the NPCs in the game are a little bit dumb, and they will get stuck on geometry and models and stuff. So
they will literally trip over themselves.
Pretty much, yeah. But they're already kind of conveying the concept of you are the Commando, you infiltrate the building, and then you actually get to go in the building and then mess around with stuff in the building and infiltrate and steal data and stuff like he's gonna do here. And that's also what they talked about in interviews with some of the gaming magazines like IGN and stuff. They talked about stuff. You are the Commando. You're gonna infiltrate buildings, steal stuff. In some missions, you have to help your GDI units progress through a particular area, and there's like secondary objectives and tertiary objectives, and you don't have to complete them, but it's better if you do, because you'll get some pickups and stuff. And yeah, they're not necessarily showing that part here. But now that he's stolen the data and he escapes from the base, like he didn't blow everything up. We're gonna see something else that they have talked about multiple times, even in interviews. This part. So the Orca is the GDI fighter type vertical takeoff and landing craft. And in the game, in the multiplayer, you can pilot it and you can use it in multiplayer. But the original idea was that later on in the game, you would be able to pilot an Orca and do part of a mission as a Orca pilot. So you're basically piloting an Orca and doing something.
That would have been awesome, man. I think a lot of people were looking for that when they bought the game.
Yeah, no, but that's basically what they kept mentioning. They kept mentioning like, oh yeah, you'll see these things fly overhead in some of the earlier missions, and you'll be like, whoa, cool, planes and stuff. And then later on, you get to pilot them yourselves. But I don't know how they wanted to do it exactly. I only know bits and pieces of what they talked about. But that's also kind of what they're showing off here. Like, you were gonna originally pilot one of these things in the single-player campaign, but that ended up not happening. And that's kind of sad, because the Orca is a cool vehicle. But at least it wasn't a multiplayer, so there's that.
Eventually, yeah.
Yeah, because in stock, they only had normal tanks and stuff. I should have paused, but...
It's fine. It's...
Okay.
Gameplay
so,
20th of June 2000.
This is one of the things that I was super excited to see. I mean, I like the cutscenes, but seeing actual early gameplay of the game is something that every time I see like a little bit of that, like from like stuff that people uploaded to YouTube, or in this case, like a full, how many minutes is this? Like a good 10 minutes.
The entire video was like 30, but they cut it for this video, for this YouTube upload.
I need to see more. I need to see more, because it's so cool. And this is something that I've because I'm still working on that. Spoiler alert, I'm still working on that Renegade video, but this is something I wrote about. I wrote about the fact that I saw what Valve did with Half-Life 2. They released a bunch of E3 footage for people to watch, and not just cam recordings of people that were at E3 and then filmed something that they saw where they were showcasing Half-Life. They basically showed that to the people on their channel. And I was thinking to myself, I wish that EA would do something like that and show us old beta stuff from Renegade. And this is like a few months ago when Valve released that. And now they're actually doing it. So imagine my surprise when they just randomly are like, yeah, oh, by the way, this is just really cool to see this, because I've been digging through the internet archives and everything to find like old footage and stuff of like beta versions of Renegade, and now we just get like a couple of minutes of actual gameplay from a game I really like. Like,
it's a lot.
Let's start with this thing, for example, like a really early version of the menu, which I am pretty sure is mostly like a placeholder. I already knew that they had like different versions of the C&C Renegade logo before they renamed it from, spoiler alert, it used to be Commando and now it's Renegade. So this is one of the earlier versions of the logo they used to before it became gray. But there's an even older version from the 90s, which is like a completely gray logo, like a grayscale logo. And I'm gonna be completely fucking nerdy here and show something that I got here that ties into this thing. I have an old poster from 1999 over here. I'm showing it on stream, so you can't see. You have to check the stream real quick in order to see it.
I am.
But I have an old poster. I should probably make this larger so you guys can see it properly. Let's see. I'll go over to OBS real quick. So I have this old poster here that I bought like a while ago because it showed Renegade from like an earlier stage. And I just thought it was really cool to see that they were already kind of going in the style that they ended up doing with the released version. Just gonna use my webcam again. I may just make it a bit larger if it. Working. That's probably because I already have a webcam in place. That's okay. That's okay. I'll just re-add it in this loading screen here.
You're trying.
I'm doing my best. I'm just trying to. I'm just trying to show my webcam real quick. There we go. Okay, now you can see my ugly face like close up. But what I'm trying to do is show this to you guys. So this is a poster I have of the game. I'm going to move a little bit this direction. You can see there's like an older version of the logo that they were originally going to go with, like a subtitle in there that says this time it's personal, you know. And that's the whole thing they were trying to go for with this game is like Command and Conquer up close and personal. You can see like a Sam sight here and an Orca in the distance and like a Hand of Nod in the distance. It looks a bit darker in the webcam footage than it is in real life, though it is also kind of dark in real life. But that's kind of what they were like trying to showcase that a little bit. So they were already working on like the basic idea of like, okay, this is what Renegade should look like in the final release, basically.
If what the poster says is true at the bottom right, which says actual gameplay screens, it's also interesting to notice that the smoke effect is different.
You mean the for like the rockets, or?
Yeah, the rockets. The smoke looks different.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, I think that's like an older particle effect that they used in that case.
It looks kind of nice.
But it's just interesting to see like what kind of levels of development they went through in order to get to this point. And now this is something that I wish I could see is actual gameplay from that era of C&C, because I think as early as 1999 they already had a working multiplayer that they were testing. So I'm also really curious to see what that would look like, because I can kind of get an idea of what the single player would look like, and that's also stuff that we will see later again, like the original design where you play the character that we saw in the cutscene earlier, and you do a bunch of things. You can dodge roll and all that kind of stuff. But there's also a bunch of things in there that they basically took out of the game. But let's take a look at this real quick first. So
Yeah.
right off the bat, there's one thing that I want to mention about this menu screen that you might not know, or maybe you do know. The font that they're using here is a default font that you have in Renegade. So if you have a computer that has its system locale set to Japanese or Chinese, it will not render the correct font for the menu in retail. You'll instead get the same font you see here, or something that looks very similar to it. So that I recognize this instantly, basically. I'm like, oh yeah, I've seen that before.
You've done some dirty stuff before.
I've changed my system locale to different languages a few times just to try around with like typing and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
What's also interesting to see is the moving part here. Like you don't see it moving now because I'm not playing it, because otherwise it's gonna go too fast. But there's like that moving image thing that you also see in retail, but here I believe it's a bit more in the center and it's not skewed in a way like it is in the or tilted in the way it is in retail. But they already had like on that line 2, by the way, the scan line. Okay, I'm gonna pause again here real quick. The menu also shows an option here, view high scores. So that makes that kind of hints to me that they wanted to have like a high score system based on how well you performed in the single player, I think. Because we have the results screens where you can kind of see like, okay, how many kills did I score and where did I hit my enemies to kill them and that kind of stuff. But it looks like they were originally going to plan on having an actual high score table, which is very indicative of the time, basically, because other games did that too. For example, one of the games that I can think of that is also a first-person shooter that did something like that is Serious Sam. If you beat Serious Sam, you'll get a high score in a table, and because Serious Sam had this split screen kind of thing and different player profiles, you could switch between those and your name would be registered with the high score, and then you could like compete if it's on the same computer or something like that. And that makes me wonder, were they planning on doing something like that with Renegade? Not necessarily the split screen, but at least the high score thing.
You should look through the beta footage. Look at the center bottom of the screen. You will see a number.
What do you mean, like here?
Once the gameplay starts, you will actually see a number at the bottom.
Oh, okay.
That will go up when he blows up.
Let's take a look at that in a few seconds. Let's take a look at some of the other skins. So this looks a little bit more like what we have in retail. So you have the campaign, you have the tutorial, and load a save game. That's pretty similar, though it uses the same font and the back button is here instead of in the bottom. And then the loading screen, or at least the screen where you can select your save file. This is very similar to what we have, but the color is green, and
it's still very early. I feel like it's all just more like a work in progress that is still changing with the times.
Yeah.
I mean, just look at the GDI and EVA logo.
I believe those are still in the file somewhere too. That's the funny bit.
Yeah, but it look kind of. I'm gonna be honest. It looks like your elementary school power.
Oh yeah, like graphics design is my passion, kind of like that.
Yes. Yes.
I see what you mean.
They all have a tilt, even, you know.
Yeah. I see what you mean. Yeah. Like they're like, okay, if I turn this at like a 45-degree angle, it looks a bit cooler, you know. Like, I see what you mean. Yeah. And
Exactly.
okay, so let's also take a look at this thing here. The time thingy. This is a weird time indicator. What does it say? 11 hours, 53 minutes, and 58 seconds or something?
Seconds. Yeah, it's like 12 p.m. and that's the save file is from the 18th.
Yeah, I saw that, and this I already translated this because I looked at the footage before. This basically says captive audience. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
M001 or M01 _ captive audience. So this is like a showcase save file of that mission in particular.
Yeah, so they already even had an idea of what the first mission was going to be like, right?
Yeah, they definitely do, and we're probably not gonna go over those files right now, but in the um,
The loading screen?
no, we'll touch the loading screen in a second, but we're not gonna go over the cut voice lines right now. But there is a shit ton of cut voice lines in the game where they talk more about what they were originally going to have in this particular mission. And personally, I consider M01 to be one of the best missions in the game. They really showcase what they wanted to do with the game. Like they did a lot of things right with that one. Not perfect, but they did a lot of things right. And it was originally going to be a larger mission than it ended up being. That's all I'm going to say for now. But yeah. So this is also interesting. What it's doing right here, like loading assets, that kind of stuff, where it shows you what files it's loading. This is also a thing that you would see a lot in first-person shooters and other games back in the day. And I think in order to not confuse the players too much about what it's loading, I think they just changed it to like a loading bar, so you don't see what it's loading exactly. Yeah. And
also notice how it always stops at certain points, right? Loading bar. It could be literally this description right here could be telling us where the levels, take the longest to load. Because like if, let's say at a third of the loading bar, it always stops. If you remember
I remember playing on older computers and the loading bar stopping at one point for like a bit longer than it would in other points, and then when I started playing the game on newer computers, like I never really had the issue; it just loads instantly.
Yeah, so that's probably loading the visibility data, right? If you go by this cutscene that we're seeing right here, not cutscene. This
also video. Nice washing machine noise. That sounds exactly like my washing machine. So we're probably gonna hear the really long jingle later too. I'm looking forward to that.
Maybe. Who knows?
What was I gonna say? Oh yeah. What I also like about this is that they basically like recreated kind of what they they created like a mission in C&C 95 like this, like with the same buildings you would see in the mission that they're gonna show in 3D.
Yeah. Even with the shed in the top left.
Yeah, like the little farm and stuff.
That's so true.
This is.
I didn't even realize that. That's so cool.
But here they're showing more Tiberium and also harvesters and stuff, and there's buggies in here too. And I'm gonna quickly touch on that right now. I'm gonna have to look for the footage later. Originally, there were gonna be a few buggies that you would see driving around in between the mountains in this mission, but they scrapped that, and you just ended up with that one singular buggy with half health driving around in circles next to the Hand of Nod. So, but we'll take a look at that later.
That one buggy that always took a full rocket clip to destroy it once.
That buggy that killed me in the retail version once because I wasn't paying attention. And also, this is really nice to see the full logo again. So
cool,
okay, this is all familiar. So this is stuff that you would see too in retail. You'd see those orcas that I mentioned earlier flying overhead. You'd see like a bunch of cinematics here, but let's take a look at the HUD. In this case, the heads-up display. There's a bunch of things in here that you would also see in retail version, with like a bit more elaborate design. Because over here, I think they were still trying to figure out what to do with the targeting reticle and whether or not to show or indicate that like the thing that you're looking at is like a friendly unit or not a friendly unit or neutral unit or something like that. So if you look at an enemy, it would show like a nod icon or something like that here. You wouldn't see it in the targeting thing here, like you would in retail version. And I think the reason why they changed that in retail is probably because in terms of visibility, it's better that if you look at something, it shows the name and the icon of which team it belongs to near the thing you're actually looking at, so you don't have to peek at the bottom of the screen to see like, oh, this is like an enemy or something like that, and this is the name or whatever. That's my guess.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Who knows, man? I just like how this.
I like it too. Also, look at the old pistol design.
It's like the Top Gear. Like this is good,
Mm.
but I like this.
I'm gonna pause it again real quick. Sorry for pausing so much, but like
You gotta check the sequence.
yeah,
here,
yeah.
you know,
Before the
before
sequence plays, I want to talk a little bit more about the HUD. The position of where stuff is too, because you have the radar on the bottom left, which is a lot more animated too, because you can see like the little radar swoosh circling around, scanning for stuff.
It actually works too. It actually works too.
It and the icon for which cardinal direction you're looking at is on the bottom instead of the top, so that's also different. And on the bottom left, it shows the health and I think also armor of the target you're looking at. So not your health, all your health and ammo and stuff is on the bottom right, and that might be a little bit confusing, especially if you're already used to retail. But that's kind of what it looks like. Also, this cinematic section over here, I'm gonna scroll back real quick, just so we can see that again. This is something they cut from the main game, but it fills in a little bit more of the what actually happened at the start of the mission. Because originally you would go in here and then you would just see a destroyed base, right? You would just see, oh, my GDI power plant is broken, and my construction yard is no longer functioning, and you hear all these alarms going off, and there's like a bunch of GDI soldiers telling you like, oh, the base is destroyed, blah blah blah. But this is more visual storytelling, because here you actually see it happening. Like you see these Apaches over here attacking the power plant and basically destroying it, and then going for the gunboat and then getting destroyed, and then an Orca dies, and you see another like a Comanche helicopter, which you can never pilot unless you edit the game files, attacking the gunboat, and then the gunboat sinks, and there's just a lot more happening.
This path also used to
Yeah.
I mean used to be open, as you can see here, but got closed later, maybe for tanks and stuff.
Yeah,
right?
that's quite possible that at some point maybe they wanted to have vehicles being able to drive up here or something like that. Because you're right, in retail they blocked this section off with a transport helicopter that crashed here. I'm gonna go ahead and say, when I played around in the level editor, there's a few things that we're gonna touch on here too, because what I was trying to do is I was trying to see if I could get rid of the crashed helicopter here, because there's a few clip brushes there that prevent you from getting stuck on the model. But if you remove them, you can actually climb on top of the model and stuff, and you won't get stuck. You can also remove the thing, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you will be able to walk up the slope. There's a bunch of things you have to change for that. I know I'm not an expert with the game editor, but that's something I tried to do to make it a little bit more like the beta, because there's another video where you can also kind of see that you can walk here. And in a little bit, there's going to be another thing that's going to be really interesting.
I feel like the reason why they ended up closing that path is because I think they were initially too ambitious with what they wanted to create in this level. And after reducing their scope, they wanted to make sure that you couldn't sequence break by going the wrong way. So by forcing you to take the ladder further ahead and meeting those GDI troopers straight ahead, then at least you won't be confused walking around seeing where you have to go. Oh, hey, there's some prisoners over here. What the hell is going on?
That makes total sense what you're saying right now. And one of the reasons why that makes a lot of sense is because those soldiers that you would normally see over here, a bit further to the lighthouse, they are no longer present, or they weren't yet present. I should correct that. They weren't yet present in this beta version. So there's no GDI soldiers there that are going to be telling you, oh, by the way, our base is destroyed and Nod took a few of our men prisoner. They're not there yet. The dialogue was there, and there's a few other things that were not in retail version. You'll see in a second why, where that might have taken place. Also, notice that when you're looking at the GDI power plant, in retail version, it doesn't give you any information about that this is a power plant. If you look at it, it doesn't tell you, oh, this is a destroyed power plant. But here in the bottom, you can see it says GDI power plant. So you're looking at the building, and it's telling you this is a structure that is on your side, but it no longer has any it
it depends on how the whole model, right, is baked into the game. Because if it's literally just geometry placed on a level, like hard baked in, then that there isn't any building information
Yeah,
attached to it. And in this case, it was clear that they, in at least, were trying to have actual buildings, that then in this case were destroyed. It shows that they have changed their scope, of the level. They used to be more ambitious, it seems.
there's a lot of things like that that we'll see that they wanted to do something with at some point, and then they kind of scrapped it or removed it. And in some cases that's good, in some cases it's not so good. Another thing that we're gonna see here is in a few seconds, because you're just standing here with your pistol, and then you can see like a simulated, not really simulated, but like oh, hold on. Sorry, I got distracted. Did you see that? Look at did you see the gun flip? Look.
Yeah, that's in retail as well, by the way.
Not like
Look,
this though.
Yes, it does. Yes,
really?
It does.
I don't remember seeing
Yes,
that. Okay,
yes.
well we're gonna have to check that in retail later. But so there's like a Nod invasion here, right? So they will drop a few. There's an old sniper scope too. You can see that the Nod soldiers here. Oh, by the way, now I'm seeing this. It says
Could be like
not
bullets,
minigunner. It doesn't say not soldier. It says not minigunner, and he has an actual chain gun instead of a AR.
Mhm.
And near the icon doesn't show not. It just shows it's like a gun icon.
Probably like a class.
Yeah.
Yeah, it shows a class.
I think it's better that they ended up just using the not icon, because if you see this, I don't know if that might be a little bit confusing. Unless the models are so samey that you couldn't really tell what kind of class unit it was. But these are still in the. By the way, these are still in the game files too. If you there's a few leftovers that you don't have to dig for them specifically, but the GDI and the Nod logo that they were originally going to use, they are you can still find them in like documentation in Renegade's folder files as well, because they will explain how multiplayer works, and in multiplayer they use those icons still in the document at least. But it's interesting to see how they were originally gonna plan on having like the names and stuff for everything that you pick up and see if you look at it in the bottom left instead of on the targeting reticle. Okay, so this is another thing. This is in retail too. You can see damage indicators here, by the way. The damage indicators are also kind of different. It's kind of a I don't know what to call this, like a little wedge.
I mean, it's more like the icon is different, but
they work the same. They still show you which direction you've been attacked from, like which direction they're shooting at you from. So that's the same. It's just the way it's designed looks a bit different. And like I said before, the not soldiers are called not minigunners, which technically they are, and they're wielding actual miniguns or chain guns in this case instead of the AR. But this is like this is very similar to what we saw in retail. But this part here, you go into the power plant. Now this is an entire section that they've removed.
Look, there's an
interior of the power plant.
Yep.
So you can actually see it from the inside. Oh, the power plant's destroyed, and that's something that they of course did with the Nod buildings later on as well. He just walks a little bit and then he walks into this thing. So there's not too much you can see, but the interior looks similar to the interior, which makes sense, of the Nod power plant in single player. If you listen to some of the cut dialogue, they will also talk about stuff like Havoc, the main character, to GDI soldiers, and my guess is that maybe at some point they would have been present here. Maybe, guessing. Could be wrong. Because I don't see anything on the radar other than what is outside. I just see a bunch of Nod red dots here, so...
Maybe there were still some GDI soldiers holding out in the building.
Yeah. Okay, so now we've teleported a little bit further into the level. So this is a section where, in retail, you will be asked by your commanding officer to get rid of two Nod turrets that are attacking a gunboat. In retail, they are on the a little bit higher up on the cliff here, but in this version, you can see that they are on the beach side. There's still a technician repairing it instead of an engineer like in retail. Also,
maybe there wasn't even an engineer model back then.
did you see that? It's more animated.
Yeah.
You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe that they animated this, or at least they
did.
I believe they
yeah,
removed the animation for this in retail.
No, it's just probably way faster. Let me if I. Yeah, it's slowed down. It's slowed down in the old version, but it's still in retail.
And it still drops a new engineer
like
if you kill one of them, or a new technician in this case, because it's not an engineer. You can still blow it up with C4, so that it's the same way you do it in retail. Okay, so here he's saying I'm sending you a medium tank, but this is not your commanding officer. So my guess is that, like you mentioned before with one of the other things, this is a placeholder audio file where they're saying, "Oh, we're going to send you a medium tank." Also notice that the crashed what's it called, hovercraft is not there with the ammo and stuff like in retail.
Yeah, so what you will notice in the retail version is that they keep trying to send medium tanks and it keeps getting blown up. And in this version they only send one when the turrets are destroyed. Why the change? I don't know. Why GDI feels like it's a smart idea to send 20 medium tanks. They decide to
they just keep, and I think they were trying to hint something there, so they keep sending medium tanks like, oh well, if you take care of this, you'll get a medium tank.
Honestly, that's honestly a good idea. Like good suggestion.
It's like visual storytelling, visual indicators of like what they wanted to do with it exactly. So instead of just a medium tank in this case, it will be a medium tank on a larger hovercraft, and then there will be a second hovercraft with 2 GDI minigunners that will actually talk to you. They will say something like, "Oh, here's your tank, by the way. Go get it." And it looks a little bit different too, this tank, because it has the little ridges on the side that they removed.
This is the beta version of the tank. Yep. There's the antenna. Yep.
Here's your medium tank, sir. Good luck.
I wish I was given that kind of equipment that easily, you know. Just hey, here's a medium tank. Good luck.
Yeah, exactly. Also, I like the little antennas on top of this. We have of course seen this design before because they've reused them in some of the multiplayer servers. So that's cool, but it's also a lot laggier. You notice that? Like, I think they were still trying to figure out.
Old PCs.
Sorry?
That's just old PCs, I think.
I'm just happy to see that they were already kind of working on more of the cinematics. Like, you can still see those planes flying overhead here and there, and this area also looks a lot like it does in the retail version. Although this tree, I don't think is there. Right?
I don't know. No idea.
This tiny tree? I mean, you have a few tiny trees in the church area, but I don't think those are in the retail anymore.
I trust your memory.
Yeah, that's just because I'm autistically going over all the details here, but yeah.
You've pre-watched everything.
I mean, yeah, this one's in specifically, I've watched this one a few times, yeah, you're right.
Here I was literally thinking, man, why is he stuck on the wall for so long? What's he doing? Is he actually stuck? This must be an embarrassing moment. But no, he just climbs over.
Yeah, I think, but I think he did get stuck on the geometry a little bit because it's like wobbling and stuff on the wall. So also,
yeah, exactly.
I'm taking a look at the radar right now. So the icons for vehicles are already the same, so they're no longer dots, because originally they were just dots, like everything was just dots. So it's already a triangle here, and you can also see a star indicator for the mission objective. Though I don't see any mission objectives here. Are you sure, by the way, that this is a score, or is it a timer?
Yeah, it's probably a score. It's probably.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, it is a score because it doesn't go up automatically unless he.
You should have seen how much it went up when you blew up both turrets.
Okay, yeah. So you're right. It's barely readable, but yeah. Okay, so you're right. He didn't necessarily get stuck. Also, I do like that in retail they changed the targeting thingy so that it's red if you aim on an enemy unit, and it's not green. Although in in the unpatched retail version, and I think you've seen this too, if you look at a not unit and then you instantly look at like a GDI unit, the text of the name of that particular thing is still red.
Isn't that just endearing?
Yeah, it's like
just
tiny
cute
little bugs, you know?
Cute little bugs.
Something they forgot to change. Also, let's look at this guy's perfect aiming skills.
Yeah, that's also interesting, right? I hope these are not the developers playing. I mean, to be honest, they didn't seem like the most competent players. I mean, the person doing this showcase right now.
I think the reason why he's just standing still like that is probably because this is being presented and he's like talking about stuff. That's what I think.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe he's talking, right?
That's my guess, at least.
That's yeah, good possibility.
Okay, this area is also interesting. The chem troopers you see here, they're not there in retail. The chem troopers were moved to a later level. You don't see them in retail. What they have here is flame troopers and visceroids.
Yeah, and soldiers.
And a
but the soldiers always die.
And like a little bit of a tiny funny thing that I found out, and people probably already know about this that are like very invested in this game. But there's a in retail. I don't know how they did this and why they did this. There is a flame trooper stuck in the wall.
Is there?
Yeah. So if you go here in retail version and you kill all the enemies there, you'll still see like a red dot in the wall or like near you, but you can never figure out like where is he exactly. And
that reminds me of the mission where you have to rescue the Dead Six, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes Black Hand snipers would spawn on maps when you try to talk to civilians, right? There was always one I could never kill. And I was a kid back then. I was like, who is this guy? Where is he?
Yeah, I want to kill all the enemies in the game.
Yeah, so I went through, was it maybe multiplayer or something? I used to no. I went through the teleport command to get on top of the rooftop where this supposed infamous red dot is. And what happened is when you spawn these snipers, this Black Hand trooper is spawned on top of a rooftop, but this rooftop is so inclined, like so slippery, that he literally falls off it. And he can't shoot anywhere anymore because he's stuck on the roof.
I don't know if if this is the case. It would still be really funny if you could still hear his voice lines like in the wall somewhere, like something's wrong. You know,
tracking.
But yeah, but the thing is the flame trooper that is stuck in the wall. Because the only reason why I knew it's a flame trooper is because I looked at it in the editor. He is visible on the radar, but you cannot hear him, so he doesn't make any noises. So you just see the red dot, but you don't know where he is. It's
just splash with the rocket launcher.
I tried with several things to kill it, but I was never able to kill it. If you want, I can boot up the game later and we can like take a look at it. But because I know exactly where he is. He's like. On the radar, he's like right here, basically. He's like right there in the wall, a little bit up. It's kind of funny. But yeah, to get back to the footage real quick, the chem troopers you see here, they were not in retail. They were introduced later into the game. I don't know why they chose to do that. I think they just wanted to show off the flame troopers earlier, and they put them here instead with some visceroids. Like, oh look, visceroids, they're mutations and they're bad. You know?
Maybe they didn't want to reveal every unit at the same time.
Yeah, maybe.
Like spread them more throughout the levels. And hey, there's
we're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to it. Yeah, I also like a tiny little thing about younger Zehnter. In this case, when I was a kid, and my dad was like, "Yeah, you're not old enough to play this, but you can play this anyways here." And I was only allowed to play the tutorial level because it didn't have too much shooting. What I would do is in the morning before my parents woke up, and this is like on older Windows systems, right? So they didn't necessarily have a password system. I mean, they existed, but my parents didn't have a password on their computer. So I would sneak down into the living room. I would start my dad's computer and play this game, and I actually played the campaign instead of the tutorial, like I wasn't allowed to. And I'm actually surprised that 5-year-old me was able to get that far. But I got all the way over here, and I remember seeing those Visceroids, and I didn't know what they were, so I always referred to them as pudding monsters, you know, like a little, because I didn't know what they were. Like because Renegade is the first Command and Conquer game that I played, and back then I didn't even know that there was an RTS. Like I just know Renegade and Havoc and GDI and Nod and blah blah blah, and then pudding monsters that I found in a green cave somewhere. So that was my introductions to them basically. Yeah, that was a really funny, funny little thing on the side.
That is cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So this is something I hope that at some point we get all of the footage, because I hope it gets showed off. This area over here is infamous because this is a thing you'd see in screenshots, and now finally in live action. This area is a route to a Tiberium refinery or Nod, supposedly, that they removed in retail. So there's like an entire section / area over here behind this hill that is no longer existing in the retail version of the game.
Really makes you wonder what made them think this is worth changing the geometry of the level, removing these models, and just closing off a level, closing off part of a
Yeah.
level because we have no time. Like, doesn't that cost more time than just letting a harvester run to a Tiberian
Yeah.
field and then maybe do nothing? There's a literal stationary Tiberian harvester with no refinery at the
Yeah,
Tiberian
that's
field.
true. So they kept
Like,
the
what's going on?
Tiberium harvester in the release version a little bit further up ahead, like up the hill and then somewhere in a corner in a Tiberium field. But in the game, if you don't know about this at least, it never made any sense why there was a lone harvester collecting Tiberium without there being any refinery or any mention. Or there was a mention, but there not being any refinery for it to go to. It was just stationary in that particular spot.
And I think the reason is literally because this still is a tutorial level, and they wanted to show off the unit to explain it through a pop-up
Yeah.
text, one objective. That's all they wanted.
The original idea that they wanted to do with this, and I only know this because I listened to the cut audio files, is what they wanted to do is they wanted to, what you say, introduce the player to the concept of a Tiberium harvester, and that it does something, right? Like it collects Tiberium, it brings it back to the Tiberium refinery. They refer to the Tiberium refinery in retail too, because they say, look, this is a harvester, he's collecting Tiberium for the refinery destroyer to like slow production. That's the idea behind destroying the harvester in the game. But the beta version supposedly included more dialogue where they talked about the harvester being destroyed. So you destroy the harvester, and then you would hear like an announcement from Nod saying like, "Oh, the harvester is destroyed," and you would also hear the hold on, how do I explain this properly? I'm gonna open up my little notepad here. That's a good thing that I still have it open. So there's a few voice lines labeled after this particular mission. And there they talk about Tiberium. They say something like weather patterns interfering with Tiberium viscosity limits. That's what they're talking about. And basically, those are things that you would hear if you play multiplayer sometimes, and you would just hear Eva announce that as like an ambience kind of thing. What I didn't know, but I learned this because I was looking into the audio files, is that's basically a thing that you would originally hear in this mission, because the weather gets progressively worse and worse. Like you would see more thunderstorms, you would see more rain the further you progress in the mission. So that's what like a dynamic weather effect thing that they were trying to do. And because it started to storm, you would see lightning effects and you would see more rain. That's why that announcement was originally going to be used for, my guess.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
if you destroy the harvester, you would also get an announcement where they say, "Oh, you destroyed the harvester has been malfunctioning," which is also an announcement that you can hear in multiplayer, where they say, "Our harvester is malfunctioning. Please request a new harvester." And that's, it sounds like ambience noise in like a little voice thing you'd hear in multiplayer, because you have harvesters and they collect Tiberium and stuff. It makes sense. But originally that was going to be part of this mission, I believe. You destroy their harvester. They mention that the harvester is malfunctioning, probably because you destroyed it, and they request a new one, and then a new one gets dropped. And then that harvester starts doing the same thing, and then you'll hear your commanding officer say something along the lines of, "Oh, you got to destroy the refinery so that they won't send any more harvesters." That's kind of the idea that they were going for here, from what I could gather from the audio files that I found. So that's why I was so interested in seeing more of this little route where the harvester comes from, because there has to be a refinery. We want to see the refinery. EA, listen, we want to see it. Give us the refinery. Give us M01 refinery. Okay, bring it back.
We demand.
We demand the refinery. Bring us the refinery. Give it back to us. If you don't want to give us the footage, just give us the old map file, so we can explore it on our own.
Who knows? They still have it. Yeah, who knows?
But yeah, that's basically my little lore detail from what I gathered by looking into this, and also the audio files and stuff. And there's more also in regards to the Hand of Nod, but I'll save that for another time, because I'm gonna make like a long list of everything that I want to talk about in like a video in the future. But there's something interesting about the Hand of Nod too, that, if you wanna know about that, just stay tuned. That's all I'm gonna say.
I can't wait. Thankfully, I didn't have to wait 8 years.
Yeah, there's some people that waited for part 2 for 8 years, and
look, the alternate fire is so cool, because this is also something they used to have planned in the game. In
alt fire,
I think.
You mean?
Alt fire modes for grenade launchers, for rocket launchers.
Like shoot several rockets at the same time. Yeah.
This used to be actual, things they've planned. If there's audio files in the game that says like infrared rockets are quiet, right? So you even had tracking rockets, right? That you could use to home onto flying aircraft and all that stuff. It probably never really was finished on time to implement, and that led to imbalanced aircraft, right? Because if you don't have anything tracking to shoot down aircraft with, how are you going to destroy it? So what did they do? They made ramjets super powerful against light armor.
Yeah, but are the ramjet rifles the reason, like, why they're so powerful, just to pierce through the
Yes.
Okay. Because I've done that too in multiplayer. Like, I've used those rifles to shoot at aircraft, because it's like it's hit scan basically, like you just shoot and it hits. But what I think it's really interesting that you mentioned this, like homing rockets, because that would have been perfect against aircraft, even in single player. Also, look at this little look at this bullet line.
It's I mean, the traces were always a thing. No, that's not a that's not a bullet. Sorry, it's not a blood. It's
yeah.
tracers.
But this is a lot more. It's less transparent, I believe.
Well. Yeah, exactly.
I call it a bullet line, but you're right, it's a tracer.
Maybe it's because of the digitization, right? But it's probably actually just less transparent. Well, look at that. What is that? Maybe a key card. Maybe that's what the red
no. This is a health pickup.
Oh,
I don't know if you can tell, but it's basically a plus or a cross icon. But it's dropped under the chain gun, so it kind of looks like something else. But if you look really closely, you'll see that it's a health pickup. Because pickups also used to look different. Here. See, it's it's a health pickup. Like in the final game, it looks like an actual bandage. But here it's just like a floating 3D plus sign, basically. Or a cross, depending on how you want to call it.
I like plus sign. It sounds silly.
Okay, so there was like another thing that they were talking about here, like a placeholder voice line about, oh, the
Yeah.
communication center is like messing around with or like hampering your radar or something like that. This is pretty much the same, but you see the weather effects, right? Like how blue that looks. In the game, there's still these weather effects are still there, but they're not as pronounced, I guess. Like you can still see the lightning effects and stuff in this area because I've seen it, but it's not as blue. Like, this is extremely blue. Oh, I can hear the amazing jingle.
As you predicted.
Yeah, that's a quick cycle, by the way. Also, why did Samsung make these noises so fucking long? Can someone explain that to me? Because it's the exact same noise that mine does. Because I also have a Samsung washing machine.
Let's make this a Samsung studio.
Yeah, sponsored by. That's a flame trooper. Yeah, okay, that's an early flame trooper. It looks pretty similar to what it ended up being.
Look at it, he lost like half his health to a rocket.
Yeah.
And even now he still has some armor remaining, but his health is 0.
Yeah, it's a glitch in the. I think it's a good thing that they made the health and the armor like 1 bar for the targeting thing. Because if you see 2 lines, I think that might be a little bit more confusing. That's kind of what they did with Renegade X in like later versions, where they added like shields and stuff to buildings too.
Yeah.
It's kind of a.
I bet Regular Path Beyond has it too, and in my opinion, it's not really confusing per se. It's I think like a big green line, you know, is supposed to be health, and then you see a blue line. I mean, especially if you've played Renegade before, I feel like the concept is explained, is self-explanatory. But here you see he still has 3/4 of his armor and half.
Yeah,
of
I
his
saw
health
it.
and-
You see the.
Hey, look now. If you aim at this building, guess what? It doesn't show the targeting.
Yeah, you're right. So they put the building thing on there incorrectly, I guess. Because I know how it works, because I messed around with the editor too a little bit, and I read that like, oh, if you have like a building thing, you have to put the building icon in the building and then link it to the right ID or something like that, and then it will correspond with the mesh.
Yeah.
Like the building mesh in this case. So if you look, yeah. But I think it might also be because. Okay, no, never mind. I was gonna say maybe it's because he was not using like the correct weapon or something like that, or like the distance, or he was out of ammo, or I don't know. But he's using a different weapon now, and it's still not showing up. So that doesn't. Yeah, it's also not showing the color on the crosshair.
Yeah. After that, is like yeah. And maybe not even.
The funny thing though, now that we're talking about this, in retail, if you aim at the power plant or construction yard at the start of the level, your crosshair will turn green as to indicate that it's like a thing.
Yeah.
But it doesn't show you it doesn't show you the name or anything, because it's like low, it's like 0 health. So
yeah.
also like an older not design, like the soldier design. That's also kind of a weird thing. Like they redesigned a lot of the models in like the last year or so. Like they polished a bunch of things. So there's a few models from some enemy soldiers and stuff that will look a lot more polished. And then there's also ones on, like, for example, the GDI side, and I've infamously talked about that on like an older video of mine, where you look at the model details of like a GDI rocket soldier, for example, and it looks disgusting if you compare it to like a not rocket soldier. Yeah, it's just like halfway done, and I think that's kind of because they were rushed, because they had to put something out. Yeah,
exactly.
But a lot of the really polished models did look really good though. Like for example, Havoc's model is really polished, and that's like a really good model. It makes sense that it is polished because, you know, if you view this game in third-person mode, you see the back of Havoc. So if it looks nice, then you know you associate that more. with the game looking nice, maybe. I don't know. Just speculating again.
Yeah, I mean, who knows, right? I feel like by the time the game got released, they were slowly falling behind on graphic fidelity.
Yeah.
So that may be the reason.
Also, this is an interesting section where they have placeholder lines for Kane, and there's a lot more in the data files, in the cut voice lines. There's a bunch of placeholder lines because I think at some point they might have wanted to make him say different things, like randomly generated, maybe because there's a few different ones, even a few with the actual voice actor, not just the not just the placeholder ones.
Yeah.
And it's really funny too because there's like a Havoc response to this, where in the retail version he says something else, and here he will he will ask, like Kane will ask you, "Who are you?" and then Havoc replies with something funny, and there's a few different things that he could say. And one of the things which you can hear here, if I scroll back a little bit, is like he will ask you, "Who are you?" and then Havoc will reply with "toupee salesman," indicating that, you know, he's bald.
Get it?
Kane is bald. There's a few of those like Kane is bald quotes in the cut voice lines. So that was a placeholder line, but in the data there's like an actual line by the voice actor that did the voice for Havoc that says "toupee salesman."
That's fantastic. They made him so cheesy.
He said a lot of stuff in the game that was cut, that made him look and sound a lot more cheesy than he actually was.
It's actually insane.
Also, look at this model for the ion cannon beacon.
I think it's the same, but it's just
it's held differently, and it also has like a proper animation.
It always did, I think.
It's always kind of glitchy though, yeah, you know, and
because who knows? Oh, look, it's over.
Yeah, that was basically there's more. We're gonna look at a lot more, but that was basically the thing that I got excited about the most, because it was actual gameplay footage of like an earlier build of the game, that showcased like a bunch of things that are like way different now compared to what they look like in the beta. Let's continue. Any comments? You want to say anything about this?
I feel like we've already said so much.
Yeah, but that's because there's just a lot to talk about. You know, there's so much to see, so much to talk about. Let's look at this. What is this?
This one is, I think, is a short.
Pre-production sizzle.
Yeah,
okay.
Sizzle. Here's the short version. This is what they actually.
Yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of people have seen this one. This is like the actual advertisement for the game.
Exactly. And it's really well made, in my opinion.
Yeah. And they also like showcase the music that Frank Lepecki made. Really good track. You can see that they cut out the part where he escapes with like an orca, and I think they might have done that because they removed it from the later missions. So you were no longer able to fly it.
When was the time again? If you go back, like when was this made?
Oh,
no. Yeah.
Hold on, let me check.
Because this is where you can make a timeline, you know?
Yeah,
this is where I think...
Okay, so pre-production Sizzle 2000. Let's real quick go back to the extended Sizzle. Is this also from 2000?
This is
hold on, wrong one. This one? Tech demo. Extended Sizzle as this one, the first one.
We got a present for you. The millions of Command and Conquer.
No. This is the really long one. Hold on. Not this one either. Not this one either. Is it this one? It's this one.
Oh, 13th of March.
Okay.
Yeah, it's 2 months. Who knows? Who
Reproduction
knows?
intro concept. 13th of March 2000, and then the other one was
11th of May. Remember, they wanted to release this game in like
yeah, I know.
December,
Okay, yeah,
right?
yeah. Because it's a few months after. Okay, I see what you mean. Okay. Let's check the other one then, because the intro, it's mostly just the same as the first thing that we saw, just cut shorter.
I really like this third version because it has actually Havoc in it.
Oh yeah. So funny thing about this one, and you know this because we can both speak the language. So I don't know exactly who they were. I only have some vague idea because I read something about it. But there was like this Flemish, Dutch speaking. I don't know what they were, like a. Were they game reviewers? I don't know if they were. They were like an online community. Let's just say that because I'm not 100% sure what they were. But there's this has been uploaded before to YouTube, and you can quietly hear hear and see everything that's going on here. But you have these two fucking guys from Spelletjesgarnaal or whatever it was called, from Flanders, from Belgium, speaking over it the entire time and talking about that they want to take a shit and all kinds of toilet humor and stuff. Yeah, it's really weird, and especially if you have no context about why they're talking about that, and then at some point they're like, "Hello everyone, we're looking at Command and Conquer Renegades," and so somehow they got this footage. I don't know where they got it from, and I don't know exactly what their background is, but I just remember coming across that footage at some point and thinking, "Wow, I wish I could watch this without them talking about bullshit over it." And now we finally can. So
crazy, yeah.
that's what I'm happy, and it's also higher quality than the video that they originally uploaded to YouTube.
Here's the old models. I am happy that they made new ones because these don't look.
Speaking of older models and stuff, they were also present in a lot of the older material, like a lot older promotional art and such. What I'm gonna do right now, because I have this webcam now, so I can show it off. I have over here. I can't see it because I'm gonna have to pull it out. So, for those who don't know, but for those who know, because they can hear the accent, I am Dutch. My friend over here is also Dutch, and we had a video game magazine that has been running for a long time called Power Unlimited. I have 2 editions from them from 2001, September 2001. And March 2002, so one before release and one after release, where they talked about what they expected of the game. And specifically, the before release one is interesting because they used a lot of the promotional art from basically the same renders you see here from like this Not Soldier. If I scroll back a little bit, this kind of design, but with a lot more like light gray camo instead of the red stuff. Oh, Kat is saying, everyone I can hear, dude, most of your audience would not notice the difference between spoken Finnish and Swedish. Well, I mean, I guess you're right. Well, doesn't matter, Kat. Why are you... It's okay. Kat, you're a cool person, okay? Welcome. Enjoy your stay. Oh, damn. You got me distracted. Anyways, here's my ugly face again, and here is the front cover of that Power Unlimited thing that I was talking about, with Havok's face, and you can see the little thing in his visor or his little glasses.
Yeah, there we go.
You can see like the reflection of like a nut buggy and an obelisk and that kind of stuff. And further in the edition, there's some more there's some more promotional art of like a hand of nod and like a bunch of soldiers in front. And you can see that they are they're wearing this gray camo, basically this gray blackish camo, just like they did in the RTS game, as opposed to the red that they have in the game eventually. You know, like what we got now. And there's a few more interesting things in here too. Like for example, there's like an area here. You can see it here. There's like a handle knot here with two of those planes. The planes are still in the game, but this looks like an early version of like either a later mission or a cut mission from the game. So that's interesting. I will have to scan these in maybe at some point. I don't know if the community is interested in that, but yeah. And also, you can see a screenshot of Gunner with you in the final mission of the game. But I think those screenshots are already public online, I believe. So it's just interesting to see those tiny little pictures in like an old magazine of the time where they talk about like, oh, you can do all these things in the game, and they also show a few weapons here that are.
Imagine if you could pick a squad mates to join you on
right?
the mission, right?
That's kind of what I was hoping that. Okay, there's another Command and Conquer game that they were going to make in like 2007 or 8 or something like that. Command and Conquer Tiberium. I don't know if have you heard of this?
Yes, but not much.
So they were
Because-
gonna do
yeah.
basically what you're asking for now. That's what they were gonna do with that one. So they were gonna do it. It was set further in the future, so not Tiberian Dawn, but like further after.
I remember seeing it, yeah.
And you were gonna be able to control a squad of soldiers and send them ahead to deal with like the Scrin or Nod or whatever. And you'd have like one particular assault rifle that could change its mode into different firing types with homing bullets and all that kind of stuff. It's very interesting. I suggest if you have the time, you should look into that. Command and Conquer Tiberian.
Yeah, I saw it a long time ago, but now that you're saying it, I remember it. Yeah, that was cool looking.
There's so many little things that I wish that we wish we could have gotten, but we didn't get them because EA was like, nah, it doesn't meet the quality standards. Bye. and then they just got it. You know, it's a shame, but that's just how it works. That's just how it works. Anyways, let's take a more of a look at this. So
Come on, I want to see Sakura.
true. So another thing about this particular area is I think this, because I think they built like a whole level for to be able to render this in, right? I think they used the same level that they had in the first Sizzle that we looked at. The what's it called?
I think
I think it's the same area with the. We have to like cross-reference this to know it for sure. But I think they used the same area with like some updated models of like what the buildings will eventually look like. So it's the same with Logan, like the original Havoc, his cutscene, and now with Havoc, like the updated version of that with like newer models and newer designs and stuff.
Yeah.
Time to rock and roll.
Also, I think it's really funny how blocky Havoc looks in the cutscenes.
He's just built different.
Take a look at the floor texture.
We went from Bradley's. Oh yeah. Oh.
The floor texture is the same as some of the building textures.
Also notice how we changed from Bradley's to
The light tanks.
To actual light tanks. Yeah.
I can kind of understand why this cutscene is not in the game, but I do kind of wish it was, because it adds some context, you know? So, this is also interesting, because you see Mendoza stepping out of a power plant, or is it the communication center? I didn't check. But
I think it's the
the
communication.
internals are basically just the same as the externals indoors, because they didn't design it yet.
They wanted to publish this in 2000.
Yeah, they were rushed. That's what I mean. Like they were rushed. Like what is this? What is this? What is this random blocky thing behind? Is that like the part of the antenna texture that's like sticking through the ceiling? I don't know what we're looking at here.
Just look at Revishaw's head, dude. It looks detached from his body. Same with Sakura. Look at the lighting.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at this Havoc's face. Look at Havoc's face.
Oh.
Oh, Sakura! I'm about to blow up this place.
Yeah.
Look at him. Also, play close attention to this. Look at the time C4 he's about to place.
Yeah.
Look, the monster
Yeah, you're
just
right.
changed.
It changed. It changed from. It changed from what he's pulling out here. Let's pause it real quick. Okay, so it changes from whatever this is. This weird ass wonky contraption.
This is an old version. An old version, I think.
Yeah, that looks weird. And then you zoom in and you get like the highly detailed version that we have in. You get the more detailed version that we ended up having in the retail version.
And here you go back to the old one.
Do you understand why the Nut Soldiers would blow up their own door instead of just opening it? Did he lock it?
Because it's an action game.
Oh,
It's an action
Kat says the bomb just needed to render in. That's why it looked different.
game.
This is also such a funny sequence here. Like he just really quickly gets up and shoots him, and then he just catches his gun.
Yeah.
Like they really wanted to make it look like very action-packed with all these explosions and stuff.
They wanted to make it look like Rambo 3.
Basically, yeah. It's funny here because Ravishaw sounds a lot more like Squidward in the English dub. Because it's the same voice actor, so
Yeah, in this case it is, yeah.
I like that they show GDI coming in and like assisting him basically.
Yeah.
That's also a thing that they were trying to go for, that whole idea of like you're not just like the most important character. That's also the reason why they cut a lot of his voice lines and made him sound less cheesy. Is because they wanted you to be part of something larger. They wanted you as the GDI Commando to be part of a bigger effort in the war, basically. So you would also see a lot more GDI action and more story elements surrounding, but not make it too focused on Havoc, but also expand a little bit to the rest of GDI and all these tiny things.
I just wish the AI wasn't so
Yeah,
shit.
true. It would have been really nice if the supporting AI would have been better.
Yeah. Well, you know what time it is? It is time for Commando.
Okay, this is also a super interesting thing. Undated, but I can kind of guess when this was made. Because I already did my research. So, the earliest record, and I have to check in my Google Drive real quick to know it for sure, but I'll do that at some later point. I'm gonna guess now. The earliest record I could find of them working on something like this was 1997, or like late 1997 and early 1998. That's when they started working.
I remember them working on a PS1 demo.
Yeah, that's basically what this is. That's what this is. Yeah.
Oh.
So
Okay.
the PS1 demo that you called Commando, where he walks around on like a racing track and you have like a flame tank in there and stuff, you can spectate it, which is also interesting. That's before this one, I assume, because this looks a lot more finished.
I've got a present for you.
But this also doesn't even look like. I mean, here is the thing. I'm
rock and
literally
roll.
wondering if this is in-game footage or not, because it looks too choreographed. to be actual.
Yeah,
somebody
I
playing.
see what
still
you
believe
mean,
it.
but the graphics are just like dated enough in a way that I
Yeah.
could
Even like the health, like the health bar, and other things. This would have been so much effort to simply make a
but this part
choreographed cutscene.
this part over
What?
here, like what he does, like this animation, this looks a little bit more.
I'm on it.
Yeah, I don't know, because it moves too smoothly, you know, like it doesn't feel. And also this attacking part with the turret. Yeah, it looks a little bit
exactly.
okay. Now that I'm looking at it again, it looks a little bit more rendered than actual gameplay.
Keep 'em coming.
Yeah,
Look at-
it almost looks like I already had a finished game.
Look at the
Like,
smaller sized power plant.
look at the
Yeah.
power plant with the ginormous doors.
Got a present.
Yeah, two doors like next to
We're
each
not
other. Why
even-
is there two doors?
The tiny building with the ginormous doors.
And there's a helipad with an orca, even though it's a not base, I think.
Oh, no. You go back to when he flies in with a recon bike and then pause. You should go back.
And there's an obelisk.
Yeah, this base is all over the place, dude. You gotta go. Yeah, here we go.
It looks like two guard towers.
Yeah, but just in a few seconds. You can stop it here. Yeah.
Hand of Nod.
There we go. You see a hand of Nod, but you also see a guard tower.
No,
You see
but
a
these guard towers
tower.
kind of look like the guard towers in.
No, right next to the
Oh,
command.
you mean this thing?
Yeah, there.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
There's a
I was
GI
looking. I was
guard
looking
tower.
at these constructions here.
But let's be
Because-
honest here, they are still so early in development. I don't know, man. This is just weird.
This is around the same time they started working on. This is around the same time they worked in. Hold on. Okay, I'm gonna have to check something real quick before I say something and sound stupid, even though I always sound stupid anyway. Okay, so low flex, high flex. Command and Conquer for the N64. Okay, this game, unlike the PC version that we all know and love, has 3D models for the buildings and the vehicles and stuff. An actual 3D terrain. This is like a really early 3D-esque version of a game that Westwood was working on. And I'm wondering, because I'm looking at these models right now that they rendered in this cutscene, how similar are they to the N64 models? You know?
Oh, that's a good
That's what I want to
question.
know. So I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah,
and I'm
no
like,
idea, man.
it's, it's a little bit curious, so to speak.
Detective Zehnter is all
Mhm. Also, the noises he makes from from the RTS game. There's a lot of interlacing too, so I think this is like a recording of a recording, maybe.
Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, maybe.
I've got a present for you.
Let's see. So here, it's like I said, it's a Nod base with an obelisk and a bunch of Nod buildings, but there's an orca there somehow, and the obelisk didn't shoot him, and the SEM sites, which are also in front of this building, don't attack the orca.
You're asking.
Maybe. Oh, it makes sense. He blew up the power plant, so the base defenses don't work, right? That's why. Okay, yeah. It makes sense now. So yeah, that.
You see, we're just plebs. We couldn't understand the genius of having.
Yeah, they all thought about this. Okay, we're just we're going over it. So that
We need more training before we can become commandos ourselves.
true. So that's basically the footage that they graciously provided us on their Command and Conquer channel, so we can finally look at it in all its glory. But there's more stuff that we can look at.
There's even
There's
more.
even
It's already
more
11 o'clock.
stuff. And I'm gonna have to download this real quick, so give me a second. There is another review series that I'm not aware of because I think it's an American thing, where they also showed like early footage, and I think you've seen this too recently because someone posted it in Discord. There's like two versions of that. There's one where you can see more of the menu, and there's also one where you can see less of it.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about.
And the one that you could see less of it, that for some reason that video was a higher quality. I don't know how they got that. How did they get that? That's a interesting question. Let's see. I need to source and real quick. I need to edit something. Is the right one? Right one. I'm very good at talking to myself. And I can't contain my excitement for Command & Conquer Renegade bullshit because it's been so long and I've been working my ass off on getting that video done.
You're just showing your ambition.
Showing my ambition. Okay, so I'm gonna download it now, and hopefully it doesn't resize my window, otherwise I'll be very upset. We'll see. Okay, this file is 1.5 gigabytes. Oh. And the program I'm using to download it is very slow. Give me a few seconds. It's not my internet speed, okay? My internet speed is great.
1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's a few, right? Okay.
A little bit longer. A little bit longer. Also, where is my
5, 6, 7, 8. Come on, I gave you even more few seconds.
I'm just looking for my stream thingy. Oh, there we go. This is taking way longer than it has any right to take.
Good things take their time.
Oh, I see why. It's also downloading a bunch of metadata. Why is it not? Okay, it's downloaded. Let's see if I can open. And of course it resizes. God damn it. Give me a sec.
Yeah, in the meantime, I'll just go grab some water.
Oh, that's a good idea actually. I should do that too. BRB. And we're back. And it's still somehow showing the wrong... Oh, it's because there's two. Okay, I see. Just want one. Now it's showing the right one. Just gonna go ahead and cut to the part that we are here for, which is not Banjo-Kazooie or Banjo-Tooie. Which is also interesting, but that's not why we're here today. So this is Electronic Playground. Or the Electric Playground, sorry. And they... Yeah, that's what we're looking for. Okay, there we go. So this is in 2000. And I'm just gonna wait for my co-host to return. And proceed.
Hello.
Oh, that was faster than expected.
Only got some water.
I'm very good at stuffing at the right moments.
I remember this guy.
Yeah.
I remember this for the.
Like even more old stuff to look at. So you can already kind of see it in the back. But they're gonna talk about this new Command and Conquer game by Westwood Studios that's gonna come out, and we're gonna see like what the game looked like in 2000. So before the gameplay demo that we saw earlier, we're gonna get like a little look into like what it was gonna be like before they changed the HUD and the character and everything.
Everybody loves the game Command and
Oh,
Conquer.
and I'm not
from
sharing it with you, I believe. Hold on. My bad. There we go. I fixed it.
You better.
Have you ever imagined actually being one of those little guys walking around, shooting, getting blown up and stuff? I know I have. Well, guess what? Westwood Studios has come through with Command and Conquer Renegade.
Hey, I'm with Lewis Castle. He is the co-founder of Westwood Studios, and we're talking about a brand new Command and Conquer game. It's a third-person shooter called
This is like the first close-up that we get. Look at this giant-ass looking ass bazooka.
Yeah, and look at the HP bar at the bottom right. It's different once again.
But it was already they already decided that they wanted to have it in the bottom right corner though. So that's the thing that changed over the years.
Yeah.
And they already had like a radar system in place that they wanted to use though. It looks okay, so this is something I mentioned to you privately before, but we're gonna mention this again on stream right now. My guess is the reason why it looks so, I don't know how to put it, like it looks so green and so rounded is because they were planning on making a console release at some point.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Because this very much looks like something you would see on like a console game. Like I can think of a bunch of games like Halo, for example, that also has like kind of a radar system like that.
Yeah, I do agree. Yeah.
Where did the concept for a different
Even
style
just
of
look
Command
at
and Conquer game come from?
the weapon movement, right? The hands and everything.
Oh, dude, this is really funny. Yeah, you're right. Like if he walks around with the weapon and it clips into the wall, look what happens.
For
Hold on, a little bit back.
Gotta go a little bit further back.
a brand new Command and Conquer game. It's a third-person shooter called
Here,
Renegade.
you see that? If you bump into a wall, he has like a weapon. He's like, like turns it around in like 90 degrees.
Concept for
Does make me wonder what the physics back then.
But it's kind of similar to what we have now. Because now if you in Renegade, if you walk up to a wall with like a larger gun, I think it also pushes the gun back a little bit. But it doesn't rotate the gun. It just pushes it back further because you're closer to a wall.
Yeah.
So that's like, I think that's like an early attempt of like maybe you being able to lean behind walls and like I don't know what they were trying to do.
different style of Command and Conquer game come from?
Well, ever since we first
You can see like the little
the Commando
not soldiers jumping jack.
We always thought, wouldn't it be great to be that guy on the ground and actually running through the world as everything's going on around you. So we thought about first person.
So here you see the like another assault rifle before they changed it to what we have in the game now.
M16 or something. I don't know. Yeah.
And also like the soldiers here look more like they did in that promotional material that I showed earlier, magazine. Like they have the gray and black camo. They're not red yet. I mean, they have some red icons.
The reticle is different.
The reticle is also different. Exactly. It's like it has like a little circle here, and it's like a different color. And they were trying all kinds of things, and they were like, look at this, you can shoot all this glass and it breaks. And this is also very interesting because you can kind of see what they were going for, and this model of this C-130 is pretty much identical to what we still have in the game, I believe.
Yeah.
And also the mammoth tank. That's in the distance.
It does make you wonder what the hell was going on in this level.
Cool. So
Yeah.
basically,
Version of the airstrip.
This is, yeah, exactly.
You're-
So
you're
this,
stuck
like an older version of the
in the
airstrip.
world of the Command
And also the
Conquer
fact
game.
that that thing crashes. And I think, did he shoot it down? Did I see that correctly?
Switch between the two very quickly.
Let's
and
check
easily.
it out.
Cool. So basically, you're stuck.
This is a Nods
Oh.
C-130.
Yeah, it
But
dropped
it-
the flame tank.
Oh, is that a flame tank? I thought it was an Orca.
So basically.
Oh, you're right. Yeah,
It's
so
an
like an
old school-
older version of the flame tank. That's what it dropped. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Okay. And the
Here we are, the Commando after all. We're behind enemy
and
lines.
and this I think is like the original air tower for air control tower for the airstrip, I guess.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking as well. Yeah.
When I saw this design at first, you know what level I think of in the game when I see this? Kind of reminds me of
I think I know. what-
Volcano.
Really?
That's the first
It made me think of Field. It made me think
Yeah?
of Field. Yeah.
field.
Yeah, C&C Field, the multiplayer map.
Actually, now that you mention it, I can kind of see it. Yeah, I can kind of see it, but that's because the mountainside is a bit low, right? And in fields, it's also a bit low, and I think they did that because there's the big plane that needs to land, right? Yeah.
Yeah, right. Then later they just stopped caring and made the plane just fly into
So
the
Yeah.
basically, you're stuck.
You can also see that the design of the airstrip is a bit different. Like in retail, we have those little flashy lights on the side, right? That basically have this marquee effect on it where it keeps moving.
Remember also in the single player version, airstrip is
Oh
huge,
yeah, absolutely.
and multiplayer is way
Very
smaller.
quickly and easily.
Cool. So basically, you're stuck in the
And
world
the
of
textures are different, of course.
the Command and Conquer games,
Exactly.
and you're going
Yeah.
through and you're following some of the storyline that's in the Command and Conquer games that everybody loves.
Exactly. You're actually filling in a lot of the backstory as you go through the product. So there's 12 areas in the product. Really, really huge.
So they were already talking about like how many areas they wanted to use in the game, which is
Yeah, I guess
equivalent
guess how many levels Renegade has?
12, right? Yeah.
12. Yeah.
So that was already kind of a thing.
So that makes me think the campaign was already kind of set in stone, at least to that,
Yeah.
I mean, this was 2000, right?
Yeah.
This
This
is
is from
2001.
2000. This is the
Yeah.
season 4, episode 8 of EP Classics 2000.
So when was this interview even recorded? Not aired, but recorded, because this tells you also, right? Remember the Sizzles and the 2 months between them, and already things changed,
Yeah.
right? What month was this
I-
set? Because I feel like
I
that-
think this is in
If-
like either really early 2000s, so like January. Must have been January because we saw maybe I don't know. Maybe because a few models already changed, right? So but some didn't.
Think of it. They were still running with the old Commando.
Yeah.
With Logan in March.
Where is that?
And
That's
this
America,
is still using Logan.
Yeah.
So that makes me think
no?
that this is probably still, March or earlier, or maybe at the most April.
But it's not. Actually,
Yeah, I think you're right. It might be. Maybe there's more details we can see a bit later.
that you explore as
Yeah.
you go on your individual missions, ultimately to try to.
Look at this design.
3 logos.
3 Nod logos in a row, and then
It's just a big guard.
yeah. It's basically like one of the guard towers in the single player campaign, or like a sniper vantage point. Basically, that's kind of what it looks like.
Yeah.
It has the same textures too.
Stop
Yeah.
nod from.
I'm glad that they changed the air control tower because this looks really basic.
It looks garbage.
Command and Conquer. So, a multiplayer mode where you have 2 bases, a Nod and a GDI base, using all their armaments against each
This
other.
looks like your
and you're
first
the
iteration,
1 or 2
you know?
characters, or even 10 characters that are swaying the balance back and forth. That's really exciting.
Okay, they were already talking about what they wanted to do with Command and Conquer mode there.
What was that building on the side? This is
a refinery, yeah,
isn't
I think so. Let's
Yeah.
go back a little bit so we can check.
That's really exciting.
Yeah. This is like an
Yeah,
older
yeah,
version of the
yeah.
refinery.
Yeah.
Slightly. Can I time it?
Swaying the balance back.
You're not gonna get a. You're not gonna get a full clip. Oh, look.
You can see the entrance, so that's still kind of similar.
Yeah, no, it's almost the same, I think.
And then there's something over here, and then there's like a big.
Yeah, I think it's the. It's just scrolling.
Is huge. You got
What is that? That looks like a.
for years and years.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that explosion too! Like it's like clearing out like a little garrisoned structure. This is also interesting, like a bunch of wreckage.
You'll see all the stuff that was familiar from Command and Conquer, including all the vehicles and all the weapons that were in Command and Conquer. Okay. And when I say the vehicles, I don't mean just seeing them. You actually get to get in them and drive them around.
I've driven. So there's this one map, that museum map. I think you've maybe seen it too, where you can drive in this model, this version of the buggy. It controls pretty much the same as the buggy does in retail.
Behaves very, very naturally.
But just look at this. The physics were clearly different.
I think it's pretty similar, actually. I think the physics for the because I think they already used the same physics engine. They just tweaked it a little bit. Because if you drive at the same speed with that and you go over like a little hill, okay, maybe not. Like maybe you don't make that jump.
Just look at how it slides.
Yeah.
You know, just look at how it slides.
Maybe.
Seeing them, you actually get to get in them and drive them around.
Because like the flipping and stuff that the vehicle does, I think if you use edit vehicle in Renegade, you can kind of get it to behave like this, but it will be more difficult to control. And if there's one thing that I can give Renegade credit for, is that I think that the vehicle controls, how they are really good. Like compared to other games, I think it's one of the better examples of how to do your vehicle controls correctly.
And fly them. It's a real physics engine, so the truck behaves very, very naturally, and I can hop off.
Oh, and you can also see the model inside driving the vehicle.
Yeah,
like you can see Logan in the driver's seat here.
One of these videos had Logan jumping into another buggy.
Oh yeah, I have that one too. I have that one too, so we can look at that too. Here, like this thing, right?
It's almost 12 o'clock. Just like,
dude, it's Sunday tomorrow. I don't give a shit. Unless you have to go, but.
Nah, it's just I'm starting to feel a bit sleepy. But
okay. I'll try not to make it too. This is also interesting. Like this really old. This design of the harvester. I like the modern design that we have now better.
Yeah, I like the old.
This is more like the design in the RTS, like the more faithful design.
Yeah.
But it just looks so goofy, you know, like it looks so silly.
It's a bit too faithfully made.
This one I do like, however. I prefer it with the little edges and the antennas that you don't see here, but
orcas, you see those orcas.
Orcas also still pretty similar, though it's a bit more orangey here and there.
Yeah, texture, different texture.
You can also see that the texture quality is lower compared to
yeah.
For the first few missions, and then finally you actually get in one. You get to fly it around, use the rockets, and then machine.
Oh man, awesome!
It's great fun. So that and all the weapons.
Yeah, Lewis mentioned it here. Like you'd see the orca, and then later you would be able to pilot it. Look at the scope.
And expansions of the weapons, like the
I think that's so cool.
When is this coming out?
You can see like an older version of the menu screen here. You can see that
I think that's
the thing that I talked about earlier, that little animation of that circle thingy in the back that's spinning around. That's already there, and I think the scan lines. I don't see the scan lines set, so there's no scan line there yet. So that's something that they added later. The numbers that we saw in that demo, that gameplay demo, is also there, but the I don't know what this is. What we're looking at there's another viewpoint where you can see the screen and the menu a bit better than this. I'm gonna try and see if I can find it. Hold on.
You know what we should do? You know what this game company is called? EP something. We should ask them if they still have the old material.
Probably not. If they, I don't think they even exist anymore.
Yeah. Imagine though.
There's a bunch of companies that did this kind of stuff that no longer exist. This is basically the end of the footage anyway. But there's another one that I have. I want to quickly try and see if I can find it real quick. Renegade gameplay beta footage. Not this one. This one was like someone filmed this at E3. Also, this one. Ren beta footage. I want to assume it's this one. The previews do not seem to work. Oh, this is also interesting. This is a bit later though. This is when it was just released. This one is preview. Yeah, let's do this one. You can see this, right? Oh,
Yep.
the audio is not working.
Games.
But trust me, you're not missing. You're not missing out on anything, because
Sure.
because it's just a German guy talking about the game, and you look at this quality. This is, by the way, not the one that I was looking for.
Did I do well to replace
Yes,
the
thank
audio?
you. I'm very happy that you did this. Oh, this is the audio,
Oh, there we go.
not the video. So for some
You have to
reason
play
they're
them over
separate.
again.
I don't know. My audio video ripping thing didn't work properly. Okay, so you can see this setting, right?
Yeah.
This looks very similar to what we were
E3.
just looking at, but this time it's like a German company, GameStar, doing a review, and someone talks over it. So we should be able to. It looks the same, right? See, same hut, but this is that church that we know from
Yeah. The first.
yeah.
Uh,
It looks. The design looks a lot more like the churches you'd see in the RTS. But this is basically the. This I think is the earliest iteration of M01. I think, from what we can see.
Could be.
Okay, so you could already go inside. And the design of the church inside is pretty much similar to... Oh, it's glitching a little. Look at this old sniper design.
Yeah.
They have this a bit longer, even in the more recent looking version too. So this is also...
Just look at that wiggle. Just look at that wiggle.
yeah, the view bobbing and the wiggle of the gun is a bit... Yeah. So that's one of the... what was I going to say? One of the things they changed, because originally what they wanted to do, that's why you saw in the previous example, for example, that he was just showing primarily like a third-person view. The game was originally going to be just that, third-person action. That's what they wanted originally, and at some point they made the decision to make it third and first-person, so you can play both. And that's kind of what they're showing off here now too.
Mm.
Look at this giant ass orange scope though. This is also interesting. So they were already playing around with Orcas, doing stuff and like actively shooting turrets and stuff. These walls, you see them in retail version too.
They look the same. Yeah.
I think this is more... Oh, he's skipping. He's skipping. He's using
cheating.
dev tools. There you can see the Apache flying over. Ooh, wow. And that's also what they talk about in interviews. They're talking about like all these cinematic... They wanted to have cinematic moments pretty much everywhere in the game. So that doesn't matter where you look, even if it's first person, you would always see something interesting. Which is really ambitious, and it worked only for a select few levels, but not all of them. Because you can also miss this this is the refinery we saw earlier. So the footage is glitching a bit, but this is the refinery where we're looking at earlier. So here he's a bit further away. You can see that thing that he shot a rocket launcher at in the footage we looked at previously. Placing landmines, I think, or something. D4.
Oh, it's one.
Wow, look at that. Hand of Nod, early interior of the Hand of Nod, where the walls are.
Yeah, there's walls where usually there's
like a little staircase downstairs, yeah, like a little fence.
Yeah,
little railing. This, if you would have shown me that at E3, I would have been like, wow, that looks really bad.
Yeah,
because he shot the rockets at it and it didn't really respond. I think this is a test level, actually.
But then you show me this, and I'm like, wow, this looks good. Look how it drives.
The physics here are a little bit different from... They've adjusted the physics, you see that? From the first video that we looked at.
Maybe
Because it's a bit
I'm not
heavier,
sure.
the vehicle. Oh, so you blew up a bridge. That's also... Destructible environments is also something they wanted to work with. They wanted to make bridges destructible, just like in the RTS, and a few walls and that kind of stuff. Super ambitious. Wow, look at that leap over the bridge. This test level might also be in the beta files, by the way. I think. I'm gonna go back a little bit because I saw something interesting. I think. Oh, here. Early design of a guard tower. This looks a lot.
Looks the same.
Yeah,
It's just
a bit darker also.
Yeah.
Here's a tank, soldier. I don't know if they're friendly. Damn side.
Oh, look at this.
Yeah, it's that same area with the.
Yeah, there we go.
Here, do you see that?
Ah, this is the Temple of
Exactly, and this is also used in the promotional material. So I want to assume that this is like something that they might have used for that. What is that? Is that a flame tank driving up the mountain? Oh yeah, that's a flame tank, right? Or harvester. The quality is so shitty that I can't tell.
Yeah, I can't.
It looks like a flame tank. Oh, and like an early version of the ion cannon being fired.
Oh, doesn't look bad.
So,
honestly.
The fourth quarter of 2000, so late 2000s. That's what this. Oh no, that's what when they want to release it.
Yeah, the release date.
I thought this was a recording from them. That's not correct. Let's see. What this?
That would have been even more concerning.
Let's try this. Oh, this is the cutscene with the Flemish people speaking over it. We're not gonna go. We're not gonna go there. What about this one? Beta gameplay. Oh, yeah. This is the other one that I wanted to talk about.
Sure.
So, this, what I mentioned earlier.
Hey, look, now it has the same GameStar.
Yeah.
Company, but it's a different heads-up display.
Yeah. So this is a bit further in development. You can see that they also adjusted the sniper scope a little bit, so it still has the orange screen, but it looks a little bit more detailed. And now they're using the HUDs that we saw in the gameplay demo earlier. So this is a bit further ahead. You can see that there's GDI minigunners attacking the beach side, and that's something that they talked about in reviews too.
Yeah, wait, this is what they're going to show in the trailers, like the promotional material. Yeah.
And you see, you can see Paul Kautz. Du siehst Paul Kautz. Mein Deutsch ist nicht sehr gut. Entschuldigung.
Jawohl. Hey, look at the icons.
Yeah, the little they were planning on using power-ups too in the game. You could pick up power-ups and then get something, because it was going to be like a third-person action game. This is also interesting. So this is a bit further up the plot erupts mission. You see a little pickup thingy over there. What I think is happening here is they're having a conversation, and by zooming in, he can like listen in with the microphone thing. I don't know if they made animations for that in the. I think they did. So he zooms in, and here it shows like a little volume thing, right? So whether or not you can hear if they're speaking.
I didn't even notice that. Yeah.
That's something you don't have in the sniper scope anymore. And this husk of the plane is still in the level, but this mounted gun thing is no longer there. But you can still spawn it, I believe. And there you go.
It's just everything looks so different, man. Makes me want to try it. Oh wow, look at that.
Yeah.
Just look at the jerking of
It
that.
looks really buggy. And this weapon is no longer in the
Yeah.
game, right? I don't know which one. Is this like a... Is this a shotgun?
The
Yeah.
shotgun.
But this design of this level looks mostly the same. The C4 looks different. It's also interesting. Like
Yeah.
an older version of the C4. I think this is more
It's more
similar to the
iconic.
C4 that we saw earlier, where he blew up the harvester. Sam site. Oh, speaking of oh, did you see that? Hold on.
Hmm?
Look, little
Looks
Loken
so
head in the top left where he's like speaking, and then you can see his face so that you know that it's you're saying it or something like that.
Wow.
That's what I think it is. What I wanted to say is there is another interview that Lewis Castle at some point did like a presentation in front of a university in the US, and he talked about Renegade. He talked about like how much it cost to create it, and he talked about how to design a game like that, and he spoke about when they design stuff, they also want to clarify what they don't want their game to be. And one of the things they were talking about is they don't want their game to be about swimming. That's why you don't really have many levels where you can walk through water or swim, because swimming was just not like a thing that they wanted to do. So this is like the only area in the game pretty much where you can kind of walk through water, if I remember correctly. And also in the interior of the Hand of Nod, but you can't swim in it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I feel like water in this game doesn't even really work anyhow.
I mean, they tried to make it work in some of the game servers, right?
Yeah, that's different.
This is also interesting. I think this looked different over here, the giant turrets, if I remember correctly. That's already destroyed. But that was one of the mission
You're right,
objectives.
it does look different.
You can see, for some reason, if you look at the SAM side, it shows like a Hand of Nod logo or the black hand.
Yeah, maybe it wasn't finished.
That's what I think. And then there's some banter between Logan and the Orca. Do you see all those glitches?
It's rough around the edges, you know. It's to be expected.
True. Also, the little. I've seen those in screenshots as well. Like you would have a Tiberium field with a bunch of green little. I don't know. They don't look like crystals. They just look like little puddles, little blobs of green.
Maybe it's just the quality of the recording.
No. I've seen them in screenshots too, like more detail. Like you can see it here.
Oh.
See, you can see like little green
you're
blobs.
I think it looks cool.
The newer model of the harvester.
Oh, he just casually walks on top
Yeah,
of it?
no,
Now
he's
he's
piloting
flying.
it
Oh,
because
no,
you
he's
were
flying
originally
it.
going to be able to pilot the enemy harvester. You could steal it. Power plant. Hopefully, I will be able to show you what I was talking about earlier in the stream too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you can see it moved. So it moved by 1 year since these two videos. So here they're talking about fourth quarter of 2001. And now we know it's a few months later than that the game was actually released, but yeah. And then there's also this one.
Oh wow, look at this run animation.
Where he actually goes in the church and you can see some of the interior. Which is still pretty similar to what we have in retail. But look at this walking animation though and the running animation. It's so
really
silly. Also,
it's
yeah.
like from completely stationary to run sprinting. And then completely stationary. Like even the level looks so different. Oh wait, this is just a different level period.
Yeah, you can see kind of like what was going to be MO1 or M01. There's like hay bar, like a bunch of hay over here, I believe.
Honestly, there's no telling. From what I can see right now, I'd have to see more of the level, and then it goes dark.
Oh, here you can see the
There we
the
go.
buggy
Yeah,
the buggy piloting.
Yeah.
And that thing with the wheels, it was already doing that. You can still do that in retail, where like if you press left when it's standing stationary, you see the wheels like do like an instant.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very jerky.
Oh well, it works, right? It works the same as this does now.
This level looks a lot more like the textures and stuff from that poster I showed earlier. So I think this is from around the same time.
Maybe because it's the skyscape.
Yeah,
is
yeah,
same,
the sky
right?
and also the textures of like the hills and stuff. This looks really detailed though. Like you see like a lot of hills and different things to drive your buggy around, and I actually kind of like
It
that.
just sucks the camera quality.
Yeah,
sucks.
but I like the design of the level. Oh, what was that? That's something that we haven't seen yet. I just see something interesting. Let's see. Is that a hand of Nod? Or is it just my imagination? No, it's a church.
I think it's
a church.
There you go.
Okay, what about this one? Oh, is this the... This is more of...
No,
is this the same? Because I thought there was more...
Yeah,
this is what we saw earlier. This is the lower quality version that I was talking about when someone posted that in the Discord. Posted a higher quality version. But I could have sworn that I saw like a higher quality menu as well in this particular one. Yeah, you do see more here. Look. You see more of the old logo over here, and you see some more things over here. So you do see a little bit more. Yeah.
But what does it say, huh?
We will never know.
Building it. Yeah.
Well, we'll never know. I'm trying to see if I can find one more thing. Oh my god. Okay, it's not this one.
Are you sure?
Oh, yeah, there's a few more things that I can show. So the interior of the power plant, I don't know if they already removed it here. This is like, you can still kind of see,
I think they would.
You can still kind of see the score in the bottom here, and you see something over there that I can't read because it's the quality is just awful. You see rubble at the entrance, the top entrance of the power plant. That's removed.
Just like GG.
This is awful quality. Where are they dropping here? Oh, you could walk in there. Oh, so maybe at some point they wanted the transport helicopter to transport you somewhere else in the level. Just like in the campaign in C&C 95.
Oh, man, this is what we need, like, this is what we need to interview people for.
Right.
Like, imagine if we had somebody that we could ask all these questions.
Exactly.
Which are mostly useless, honestly, but still really cool.
This is also interesting, like a Nod base, where they have like all the buildings and stuff.
Yeah, it looks different as well,
Yeah.
right? The valley looks different. Also, the communication center looks different.
Yeah, older design of the
Yeah.
refinery. Oh, and this, I know this is the construction yard, because I remember seeing a really large version of the construction. Yeah, here, look, it's so large. They made it so incredibly large.
Yeah. Silly, yeah.
I'm almost through all the footage that I have, by the way. There's a few more things, and then I think we can call it a day. Just super interesting to see all these old things. I just wish that we had higher quality versions of these too, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, there's this one too. That's not the one I was looking for, but you can see the same thing that we saw earlier, like with the
Yeah,
Apaches and stuff.
sequence is the
Because
same.
I wrote about this.
Except there's no gunboat.
I wrote about this in the script that I was working on, and then getting to see it in higher quality with what they recently released is really cool.
Just notice there's no gunboat.
No, it's here. It's
Oh,
here.
no, it is.
It's just the quality.
super
The quality is just awful.
Yeah.
So you can still go up here, and then you're gonna see something that they removed in the game. In a few seconds. Third person, and he's gonna show it. Dodge rolling.
Yeah.
Okay, what now?
It's annoying when you accidentally trigger it.
Yeah. And there's not much else to see. The rest is the same. Trust me, I've seen this a few times already. And then there's this one, which is right after release when the Germans again testing the multiplayer in the game. 1v1 in Volcano, even though, yeah, here you go. Volcano is an interesting level. But this is retail, so we've already seen stuff like this. I'm looking for one more thing, and I hope I have it somewhere. I really do. This is right before release. I'm already showing a lot more. You're not going to see much new here. This is like a month before release.
Yeah, there's no changes at this point.
Yeah, so this is already pretty much...
Oh, the light tank's different. Yeah, different light tank.
Is it different?
Yep, the barrel.
Very close to some.
This is the beta model, I believe, where the barrel is off center.
Oh.
Even then, they were still working on this game, man. Bloody hell!
Somewhere there.
Let's see if I can get a better view without the garbly mess that we see here for the light tank. It's really difficult to see.
Go a bit further back.
There's this shrine.
Then I think you can see it.
Let's see. Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. It is off. Yeah, it's off center. You're right. It's more on the right side or the left side if you're from its angle.
Yeah, left.
That start felt really unreal. What are you talking about, cats?
Or it's not made.
Oh, the skybox is also different in this level. Like this is 1 month before release. Yeah, it's a lot brighter.
Yeah, maybe.
And this buggy is not there. Right, that's removed in the final game.
No, the buggy is still there.
Did it drive that way though? Maybe,
that's a
maybe I
good question.
misremember.
Yeah, but the buggy is there.
Ooh, is there one more thing? Where is there's one particular one that I'm looking for. The way the minigun acted and drops on the ground hovering like that. Oh. Alternate trailer. Oh, yeah, we've all seen this one. Trailer before release when they still used the old HUD. Yeah, off center. Yeah, I see it. Oh, this is what I was talking about, by the way. So this is in the trailer. You can see it. This is the this is M01, and there's like a buggy here driving.
But look at the iron side. Is that different again, or is it just?
No, I think it's. Hold on, let's go back a little. No, I think it's it's just really difficult to see it, but it's similar. Also, the pathway to the Tiberium refinery is there. It's right there, but they never show it.
No.
It's never visible. It's also the quality is so horrible that it's really difficult to tell what you're looking at too. Clergy icon.
Cool,
yeah, this is similar from the gameplay footage we saw. Here, that was also a different skybox. Do you see that? In this area.
Yeah, and there's no fencing on the obelisk in that mission.
Yeah, the scaffolding. Oh, this is still in the game, but it's not a sniper. It's a
soldier. Yeah.
Because they were originally going to introduce the Black Hand in the second mission. Cat says the pixels are procreating. Can we? This is the same mission where the routes to the Iberian refinery should be. Can we see anything? No, it's really difficult to see anything in this. I was gonna say maybe we can see like a little bit of a structure here, but this is already in the main game. The Tiberium refinery should be behind here.
It's probably not even there.
But I want to see it. Oh well. Here, old gray logo, 2001. Still looking for it. That's the one that we looked at earlier. Cutscene is also not the one that we will look at. This one? I think we watched this one too. Oh, there is one more that I want to view, and then that's the final one. This one?
Okay.
No, it's not this one.
We haven't seen this one yet, right?
It's not this one, but this one is like older. We've seen something like it before. Yeah, where it will drop off the flame tank, and then get shot down by the mammoth.
Look how that mammoth instantly turned its
Yeah, that's also really funny. Interesting. Alright. Not what else.
Oh, is he getting inside?
I think he's almost going to get inside and then... But! The guy that filmed this cut this part just to look at someone's ass.
Come on, we needed to see the airstrip.
Well, we'll never be able to see it because it's just butt. It's just ass.
But that's not what I
Look at
wanted.
this. There's a not obelisk there. A power plant.
Is that a medium tank? Yeah.
So now this is like an assault kind of situation where you and there's an obelisk.
Nah. Oh my god.
Don't go too close. Yeah, you see, you can see it work.
Oh,
yeah.
There we go. Yeah.
And there goes your tank.
Even laser beam was different then.
But you're not getting shot. The obelisk is
He's
ignoring you. Also, look at this entrance.
Yeah.
The entrance on that side of the power plant. What about this one? That's what we've already seen. Yeah, I think that's all. I think that's all I have. But there should be one more. Oh wait, hold on, hold on. Is it this one? No. No, this one. No. No, can't find it. There is one more thing that I wanted to look at. Because there's one video, also in the plot erupts, where they go into the Tiberium refinery, and then downstairs you see those chairs that I was talking about in at the start of the stream.
I think you were talking about those.
Yeah. Well,
Oh,
it's all good. We've taken a look at a lot of things.
dude, I'm not gonna lie, I feel like I'm about to fall asleep.
Yeah, we've been going on for quite some time. I think it's probably time to call it a day. But yeah, no, that was fun. It was good. It was good looking at a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. We didn't really get to talk about everything though, and I don't know how when we started, like 8 o'clock. No.
Yeah, I think. Can I see where OBS? I believe.
It's so funny to me because it literally was less than like half an hour of footage, and we took like 2 hours to to talk about it.
We've been going on for 3 hours about this stuff.
Yeah, I could go on for longer, but it's just late, man. I'm not really normally staying up until. I mean, sometimes I am, but I don't know. I'm just kind of feeling tired.
No problemo. It's kind of late, anyways. I should probably call it a day then. thanks for joining in. It was really good to have someone to talk about this stuff with.
And hey, if there's more you want to talk about, we can always do a part 2.
Of course. We'll have to see though. The most important stuff is covered. We talked about the beta stuff. The beta stuff.
You should still watch the W3D.
Oh yeah. I will definitely do that. I wanna know more.
Because I think you're going to be very interested about what C&C Hyper has to say.
Yeah, I'll look into it.
It's only like 15 minutes, so
it'd be fine then. All right. Well, that's gonna be it for today then. For anyone who's still there, Kat, thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking around. I'm gonna close up the stream. Maybe in the near future there will be a new Zehnter video finally after 8 years.
That's a promise. That's a promise.
We'll see. We'll see. All right. Take care. Bye bye.